The people of the great Namib have another name for those violent winds that blow from nowhere. They call them dust devils.
Jenny! James is here, Jenny! When I look at him, I don't see anybody. Hell will have no surprises for me.
To vent his wrath upon the earth.
I'd rather kill myself than marry him.
Shame on you for inventing such a fantastical story.
He became a hunter, and like a hawk, he flew to seek his prey, taking refuge in those far corners of the world where magic still lingers. But having once been a man, so does he still suffer the passions of a man, flying in the rages sometimes.
He won't touch me.
But I wouldn't do no harm to nobody.
Back in the first times, in the time of the red light, desert wind, Sumukwa, was a man like us, until, by mischance, he grew wings and flew like a bird.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 286 of the Triple Shots of Moodz and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with JP, also known as the Mexicans. And of course, we got Tyler, also known as Mr. Saucedo. And I be your host, the Toxic Offender, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, my dudes?
Straight chillin'.
Great chillin'. That was good English. There's Saucedo.
I think he said straight.
I said straight. I was like, I guess I'm not speaking very clearly.
Oh, straight. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, but yeah. All right, so we are back in the house, episode 286 for another round of some Western horror films. I think we did the first one like way back in the day. I think Andy was on that show, right? Was Andy on that one?
Yeah,
I think I think that's a really old show.
I didn't even remember you doing one, so I guess it had been a real long time ago.
What were the films? I think we did Dead Birds as one of them.
Dead Birds and Breeders. What was the one underground?
Burrowers?
Oh, the Burrowers?
Burrowers, yeah.
Did we do Ghost Town?
No, it was just Burrowers and Dead Birds.
Two films.
I would have thought you would have done Ghost Town, because I remember Jeremy had a hard on for that movie.
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe we did that on something else. I don't know. I feel like we talked about that one at some point, but anyways. Yeah, Western horror films. Yeah. I always say that they need to make more of these because it's just like two genres that I love, and you put them together, it can be very interesting. Very, very interesting, but they're so far in between. At least the good ones anyways, right?
Yeah, it's pretty shallow pool, I'd say.
But there has been some good ones in the last few years. Like
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. There was fucking Brimstone that was really good.
Oh yeah, Brimstone's really cool.
Yeah, I think that movie's a little bit misunderstood. Like, some people just didn't fully grasp it. They're like, I don't like that. It's not even horror. I'm like, what?
That was not horror. He's dead. It's a zombie.
It's weird. It's fucking weird. But yeah, man. So what's cracking? What's cracking, guys? Oh, right off the top here, I just want to say rest in peace to Gene Hackman. Even though Gene Hackman wasn't really, he didn't really do a lot of like horror films. In fact, I don't think Gene Hackman ever did one, to be honest.
I can't think of one.
No, but I mean, it's Gene Hackman. I mean, he did so many amazing films, from The French Connection to whatever you want.
I feel like he had to have been in.
He probably did. I just can't think of one.
I know he did some thrillers, like maybe some like later noirs and thrillers and stuff like that. Things that are like still kind of genre films, but like straight up, Yeah, like straight up horror films. I don't recall. Just off the top of
Wasn't
my
he
head.
in the Wolfman remake?
No.
No.
Not the wait. Well, I assumed you were just talking about the one that just came out. You probably
I'm
weren't.
talking
So
about
let me
the
check that.
2010.
I mean,
2010.
he must have did something.
Young
But-
Frankenstein. That doesn't really count.
Nah, it's like straight up comedy.
Yeah. Mississippi Burning. Huh?
You know, I was looking at just looking at his filmography now. He's basically stopped acting in 2004, so he hadn't done a movie in over 21
Yeah,
years.
I think his last movie was like Welcome to Bull, like the one with Ray Romano, like Welcome to something.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so he'd been, well, I mean, good for him. I mean, you might as well enjoy your, because he was 95 when he passed. So I guess 75 is still not that old to retire from acting, really. But I think, there's been a lot of guys that have threw in the towel about that time. Might as well enjoy your golden years while you can, right?
All right.
So-
Welcome to Mooseport. That's what it was.
Yeah, I can't
I don't
actually
see any horror movies.
No, like he's been in a lot of really great movies, but
Yeah, I don't think he's done any horror.
no, like that's really interesting to do that many films in your career and not do at least one horror film.
And he's got
Interesting.
some dark thrillers.
I mean, I always forget that he was Lex Luthor, man, in the Superman movies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He was in part 1, 2, and 4, I think. I don't think he did the third one. Yeah, part 4, yeah. Right. Mississippi Burning. Yeah, man. Unforgiven. Yeah, he went through a little bit of a Western kick there. He was in Unforgiven, Geronimo, Wyatt Earp, The Quick and the Dead. Like all in a matter of 2 years. It's crazy.
They were cool again.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, there was like a resurgence of like horror westerns in the early 90s.
The Hunting Party's kind of like a horror western-ish. It's not all the way there though.
So I've seen the movie Extreme Measures. I believe that's like a thriller,
Yeah, that's why The Hunting Party is kind of more of a thriller too.
it's a medical drama mystery thriller. Yeah, I've seen that one. I think Kino actually dropped that one.
Which one?
I think it's The Chamber that they put out. Kino did a Blu-ray for. Oh, they did Twilight too. That's another one that.
Yeah, I've seen that movie. That movie's okay. That movie's decent.
Yeah, it's like another
Billy
thriller.
the Kid versus Dracula. Isn't that like a Western?
He was in that movie?
No, I'm talking about Kino.
Oh yeah. They put out that one. Yep. Yeah, I was just talking about
Yeah.
Gene Hackman movies, but yeah, no. Rest in peace to the legend Gene Hackman. He was a great actor, man. It's kind of a
How did he die? They figured out yet?
no. They're investigating. Well, they did come out and say that it definitely was not carbon monoxide poisoning that killed him, his wife, and the dog.
Okay, that seems like see, I got crucified for saying Nitty Chris Benoit him, but
No, so they did an autopsy, and now they're investigating his what do they call the pacemaker that he had? So it from what I read today, it was like this. They've concluded that he probably dropped due to like heart complications and his pacemaker and stuff like that. Like I guess they found him like in his mudroom or something like that. But then the other part of the mystery is the wife of being 20 years younger. How she was found in the bathroom.
She was only 63.
Yeah, so she was found away from him, and it wasn't suicide. Like she was found in the bathroom upstairs, and she, I don't know. They didn't really go into detail about that, but the dog died because the dog was in a fucking kennel. Okay, so I left out the part that they died probably 9 days before they found them. So the dog obviously. So the weird part about the dog being in a kennel is that they have two other dogs that they found at the scene that were alive. So one was outside, one was inside. So they were obviously surviving for the 9 days that they were basically orphaned. And yeah, so the poor dog that was in the kennel, that sucks.
Yeah.
But interesting. It's just very, very interesting that the wife would pass, and they figure like around the same time, like the same day. It's so weird.
Yeah, there's something really
It's just
fishy.
Yeah, it's really strange, right? Like I just couldn't wrap. I was reading the article before, and I was like, that's really fucking bizarre. But I mean, obviously, was jumping to conclusions about carbon monoxide poisoning, which is totally not uncommon.
It's just like it seems the most
that's the
logical thing.
only way. Like when you think of two people
And a dog.
And a dog.
And a
Just
dog dying.
given the information we had, I think that's like the most logical.
You're either
thing.
thinking murder or you're thinking carbon monoxide.
It's funny because when I first heard that it was him, his wife, and dog, the first thing that came to my mind was carbon monoxide. It has to be.
First thing that came to my mind was Chris Benoit.
Well,
It's
it's funny that you think Chris Benoit
was capable of that at his age.
Probably not.
I think that it's funny that you think Chris Benoit, because when I think of like murder suicides, I think of like the Phil Hartman thing, because his wife fucking
that's
shot
more
him
likely.
and then killed herself. That was a fucking sad one. Just same thing, but she was crazy. Benoit was fucking all messed up on drugs and shit, and his head.
I
got all
think his
crazy.
was CTE.
Yeah, it's a combination of CT and being on drugs.
And like it was something like crazy. Like his brain was similar to what they'd see in like an Alzheimer's patient.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get the CT and then you're doing steroids and you're probably taking other drugs to compensate for that and stuff. It fucks with your head, man.
Yeah,
like you're not right.
He had a signature move that was doing a diving headbutt from the top rope. So.
Well, that was a little bit of a different start to the podcast. I think the last 3 shows we've started out with 10 minutes of sports talk, which no one mentioned last time. And I'm frankly, I was kind of surprised by that.
I know no one else watched it, but John Cena going heel last night. Crazy.
I heard that was the first time in his entire 25-year career he actually was a heel.
He started out as a heel, but like it wasn't like he was like this big villain or anything. He was just like, it was just the first character.
Well, he's like the good guy for the kids, right? He's always been that type of player.
Even like when he kind of became a good guy, people forget that he started as a rapper and he would just like come out.
That's
and, like,
all I remember about him.
Yeah. So people just love this character. Like,
the thing
he's supposed to be a heel, but like people like this character of this like rapper that just came in and like talked shit.
The thing is, though, it wasn't even a character. John Cena actually was an MC. Like he actually has an album. Well, he ended up putting out his album after he joined, WWF or WWE at the time. But he was doing stuff in Boston prior because he actually has production on that first album from like 7L, who of course is, 7L Esoteric. He's 7L is a producer from Czarface, right? Czarface is now with 7L Esoteric. It's all Boston related and stuff. And like he actually had legit like underground production on that shit. I was like, that's pretty wild. But yeah. So there's a sports talk. John Cena. Never get away from it.
I was hyped. I was cheering. I was like,
I saw that because that shit was on Netflix.
Peacock.
Or was Peacock?
The show's on. Yeah, the show's on Netflix now.
Okay, because
reviews are still on Peacock.
Okay, because I saw that on Netflix. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? It's like WWE.
Yeah, the Monday night show is on Netflix now.
I see. Cool. Coolio. Yeah, so what's new in the world, dudes?
Besides John Cena going heel. This is the part of
that girl from Black Christmas passed away too.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, Michelle
like
Trachtenberg, yeah.
90s kids royalty. A lot of people, me and JP's age, will remember her as, I actually forget her name from it, but I know she was on Pete and Pete. She was like that. Yep.
Yeah, Harriet the Spy, right?
Yeah, I just watched Harriet the Spy last week, like randomly.
I remember her obviously from the Black Christmas remake because I always say that movie has like one of the most beautiful casts. But yeah, I remember her from that film. I never watched Gossip Girl. I never watched Buffy.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of that stuff.
I never watched Buffy the TV show, but I do remember her from Mysterious Skin. She was in that film.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And of course Eurotrip. Because she plays the sister, right? She's the sister in that.
She's a dorky kid's sister.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I've seen a few things with her in there and stuff, but yeah, pretty sad though. 39 years old. But apparently she had like a liver transplant or something like that. And I think it was like complications of it after because she had it a while back, and then so don't really know all the details. Not going to speculate, but yeah, that's sad. 39 years old. She was beautiful. Sad. So JP, what's with the Patrick Dempsey stuff? Controversy right now.
What's that?
What's with the Patrick Dempsey news about Scream 7? So I thought he was in.
I don't know. I didn't even know what happened.
Yeah, because apparently he was in the film, and now the headline says it just didn't work out. So now he's off Scream 7. Like, what the fuck?
Which one was he?
He was in Scream 3, I think, right? Yeah, he was Kincaid. So he was going to reprise that role in Scream 7, and that was one of the people coming back to the franchise kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember. He was just like the least notable one. So
yeah, here we go. Mark Kincaid. That's what his name was. But yeah, so he was another big name reprising his role in Scream 7 and shit like that. Scream 7, this production has been so plagued with just, it's crazy what they've went through with this movie. All for nothing probably too, because it's probably going to suck now. But anyways, apparently he's not even doing it. So just another person coming and going, man. It's pretty crazy. So whatever. But yeah, Scream 3.
I didn't even know who that dude was. So I don't miss him.
Patrick Dempsey. Like, pretty decent big name. I mean, people know his name. So, but yeah, man, this has been like a really slow week for like news and shit.
I was looking for on Cinemark earlier too. I was just seeing because like we've been getting horror movies pretty consistently since the start of the year. So I was kind of checking out to see what was coming out in the next couple weeks, and there's like nothing going. At least nothing like going into wide releases for horror.
Yeah, I know. Arrow announced Jason Goes to Hell and Jason 10 on 4K.
That was weird.
Which is like really something I don't give two flying fucks about, because I have them on Blu-ray. I didn't even like because they dropped the remake last year, and that thing sold out in like fucking 4.5 minutes, which is just beyond incredible to me. I just couldn't believe that people were jumping they were jumping over horses to get the fucking remake of Friday. But I'm sure Jason Goes to Hell and Jason 10. Now everyone's going to become a huge fan because it's on 4K now. All these fucking 4K tubers, man. They're like, all I've seen is just, it's like all they're talking about is like, oh, it's going to make the movie better. No, it's not. It's going to look better.
How can you make it better?
I don't know. That's their mentality. It's like perfect. If the movie's not on 4K, it's like, it's not even a good movie. I'm like, you guys are fucking twisted, bros. It makes the movie look better. It doesn't change the actual film. Stop kidding yourself. But yeah, no, I bet you Jason Goes to Hell and Jason 10 sells out real fast because, everyone hated them 5 minutes ago, and now everyone loves them because they're on 4K. It's crazy to me, but I'm not interested. I have the box set like most people. I'm fine with that. So
I'm definitely picking those up.
Yeah.
Well, X, I can live without X, but
you don't even like X.
Like, no, that's why I said I could live without it.
Yeah, like why would you even consider picking it up? Because I know you don't like that movie.
It's my favorite franchise. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah,
the completionist.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's certain movies that I'll always get on the new edition or whatever. Like not the new edition, but a upgraded format. And Friday the 13th is probably the number one thing that I will always get the best edition of. Mm.
Yeah, I mean the first,
because not only, you're talking about a franchise that I rewatch multiple times a year. You know what I mean? So I get the use out of them.
Right.
Usually watch like one per Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I usually just pick a random one. If I'm going to watch, like some years I actually just skip. Like I remember the 1 year
I skip every once in a while, but I slowly just go in the order of the franchise.
I think it was it last year or the year before I watched, I think I watched Dream Warriors. I went to Nightmare on Elm Street on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, close enough.
I'm like, such a dork. But yeah, no, this week there's been like nothing, man. What's coming up for theatricals? Because I was trying to find.
That's what I mean. There's like nothing. I was looking at Cinemark to see what like at least the wide.
The next movie is The Woman in the Yard, the Blumhouse movie.
Yeah, no, I know. I heard you, Tyler. But yeah, like what is that's the next one, and that's like coming in what, April or something?
Last weekend of the month, I think.
Man, that's crazy.
The Unicorn movie, I guess, is the end of April too. There might be some smaller release ones that just aren't on there yet.
Kind of a slow start to the year.
I felt like it was a fast start to the year, and now it's just.
Well, I mean, it was kind of normal. I mean, we always get like a few in dump month and stuff, and then February there was a couple. Like there hasn't been that much. I mean, you think about it. Like we're 2 months into the year, and how many theatricals had there been?
I mean, there's been Companion and Hard Eyes.
Yeah.
Wolfman.
The Monkey and Wolfman.
Yeah.
Presents.
Oh, I didn't get that one. Right, I forgot about that. Yeah. So that's 5.
White Risk.
Yeah, you get it.
That sucked.
Yeah.
Was that a horror movie?
I mean, thriller.
Okay.
So not a horror movie then. But yeah, I mean, even if it's like 6, wide release theatricals, I mean, it's still.
I mean, if we're calling Companion a horror movie, or not Companion, fucking Presents.
I think it's definitely a horror movie. What would that not be? It was ghosts.
I was going to say, is it supernatural? Because it's called Presence. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's barely ghosts.
At first, I thought you said presents. It's like I'm like, is this a Christmas movie? And like, it's about presents.
If like this isn't a horror movie, then like The Innkeepers isn't a horror movie. It's like the same thing,
dude. But
the Innkeepers,
the ghost is not scaring anybody.
Yeah, but like rarely are horror movies scaring anybody.
No, we'll get into a movie later on that's not a fucking horror movie.
Like I think it was like Hard Eyes didn't scare me.
I mean, Hard Eyes is a rom-com.
Like, the monkey was supposed to be funny. I don't think the monkey was scary. I think like when we're going into like are this movie scary? Then it's all
but that's not what I'm not saying. A movie needs to be scary to be a horror movie. I'm just saying that if just simply having a ghost doesn't make it a horror movie.
No, I would agree with that, but I felt like
there's lots of movies that have like like that element, but it has like. It just doesn't change the genre of the movie.
It definitely isn't a movie that's like concerned about being a horror movie, if that makes sense. And I didn't really see any of the trailers, but I guess they marketed it like it was like some scary movie, which was probably not what they should have done because it's not that. But
I mean, I could see it. I think that it's like, dark enough to count. And for people to count it and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say like it's a horror first movie.
No, I wouldn't either. But I probably wouldn't call like The Monkey a horror first movie either.
I think so. Like not first maybe, but like I think because of the fact that it's like a cursed object and stuff like that.
What do you mean? It's a straight up horror movie. It just has a lot of comedy in it, obviously, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a comedy first.
The things that are happening are funny to us, but it's not funny to the characters.
Exactly, it's situational comedy for the viewer, but yeah, it's not funny to them. So it's definitely a horror film first with obvious comedy, dark. I wouldn't even say comedy. It's like dark black comedy, because a lot of the fucking comedic moments are coming in like. Like kills and stuff like that. Like that's dark. That's dark humor, man. That's fucking dark. So
I did end up seeing it.
Oh yeah, right. So what are your thoughts on it? Do you echo our sentiments on it or not?
I don't really remember what you said because I kind of tuned it out a bit, but I think that it's pretty good.
Fucking dick. Why are you such a dick?
Why I'm gonna tune out. I don't want to know.
I told you right from the start. I said I'm going to talk about this movie, but I'm not going to give anything away. I said I'm just going to give my sentiments.
I don't know because I don't.
I just said I really like the way they did the comedy in it because I like that type of situational, transitional, comedy, not like physical and stupid humor and shit. Like I thought the comedy was actually smart and it was edited well too.
Yeah, it had really good editing. I think that. The gore and stuff was fun. One thing that I really liked was just like the monkey itself was creepy and cool. I like the cameo by Osgood. His character's funny.
Yeah.
I think that the setting felt like it was older than it was because it's set in the 90s, like the first part. It felt like it was set in like the 50s or 60s or something. It was weird, or 70s.
Really? I never really got that feeling because just of the technology in the vehicle, like just certain things kind of tell you that it's not that old. But yeah, it's probably because it was set so rural too, though. They shot that like in a very like kind of rural area of like North Van and stuff. It's not generally like that. It's actually a lot busier and more modern looking. So it's pretty interesting that they use that location. So
yeah, it was a pretty fun movie. The thing I didn't like about it was I thought the whole like angle with the brother was like horrible. I didn't really care for that aspect of the story.
That's exactly what that was my biggest complaint about the movie too, was kind of I wouldn't even say a twist, but I just don't like the first half of the movie was a lot better, and then you get this reveal with the brother and like what he's trying to accomplish. And I'm like, but then there's this really crazy moment in the film where he's like, oh, you're, like you tried to kill my mother. And then he goes, but she's my mother too. Oh yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? So like your whole angle was this, and then you have this revelation that, oh yeah, we do share the same mother. Maybe he actually wasn't trying to do that. It's like, what the fuck? It's kind of silly, but honestly, man, like the whole thing with like even with the guy's son was kind of like I could have done without too, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
It didn't really add a lot. It just added a lot of comedic moments to it.
Yeah, like, I think the writing in it was a little iffy, but just like the product it produced was fun.
The only part in the movie I thought was legit stupid was something that Tyler brought up too, and I actually had it written down or like in my mind, and I was like, the scene where they're at the funeral for the babysitter, which I thought was really cool that her name was Annie Wilkes. A nice little shout out to Misery in that. And but the priest, like the dialogue that he's like that, it came off so unnatural and so ridiculous because this movie is kind of set in reality, but obviously it's set in, it's crazy shit happening. But like you would never have somebody go up there and say those things and act like that at a funeral. Unless you were high as fuck and didn't know where you were and you were like not even a priest. You know what I mean? Like it just came off being so unnatural and so not
like it was trying that world that it's set in.
Yeah, it didn't feel like that part didn't seem like it was set in the world that all this shit was taking place.
Right, especially because like the comedy is pretty like deadpan absurdist stuff, and then like you have this random like stoner like slapstick comedy that just, like doesn't fit with the rest of the movie.
I know, like that one.
Stupid.
It is. It's like this unnatural, really strange, goofy part in the film that totally could have been cut out of the movie. Really. You didn't even need that at all. Like
it would be funnier, like if it was just a deadpan, like a serious priest that just said something awkward.
Right. But it was like every single word that he was saying, and it was kind of cringy too. Like who wrote that shit? Like it was really bad dialogue.
Especially like I completely forgot that it was like set in the 90s as well. So that would have been the 70s. Like who would have been acting like that in the 70s?
Yeah. But I mean,
otherwise, like a modern character.
Yeah. Like I mean. Overall, the whole movie, though, I thought was really fun. Like I said, like just some of the narrative, reveals and stuff wasn't the greatest, but I thought the kills were so well done. They were really creative and inventive and gory and just fun. Like the bus at the end, I love that shit, dude. That was really fun. It's super, super fun to see that.
What did you guys think of the like horse thing?
It's all right.
Why am I not remembering what the horse thing is?
I don't know if I want to just like totally give it away.
Yeah,
no, don't. I'll just think of it later.
Yeah, I'm just trying to beat around with that, but yeah, no, it's it's fun. It's fun. I actually like. I think the hardest I laughed though in the movie was the scene at the hotel in the pool. That shit made me laugh so fucking. I did not see it going over the top, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" I was like trying to hold it back too because I was ready to piss myself. I was like, "That's pretty fucking."
I laughed right from the opening scene, like that first kill. Like I laughed pretty hard at that, and I was like the only one in the theater that laughed, and I was like, "Uh oh."
Well, I think maybe some people going into that didn't realize it was going to be. That type of black comedy.
I wasn't just like laughing a little bit. Like I was hollering. I let out a good laugh. That was the only one. I felt awkward. Then there was another thing that happened like right after that. I was also the only one that laughed at. But after that, people caught on.
Yeah, there was only one other dude that was actually sitting like 2 seats away from me that was laughing at everything that I was laughing at. So he completely understood the the premise of the film.
Yeah,
but like,
everyone caught on, I think, pretty quick. It was a good audience, honestly. And the end got a lot of good reactions from the audience. There was a lot of like, oh, shit.
yeah.
I like the. Good.
Oh, I was just going to say there was only like maybe 15 people in my theater when I saw it. So it wasn't that interactive. So
Yeah, I saw it opening night, so it was like packed.
yeah.
I find it interesting that Osgood did something different. Because
I love that. I think it's so.
It shows that he has a bit of range to try to do like.
Yeah, it was refreshing for me, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Did you guys get the preview for his next movie?
I told the whole fucking story last podcast about how I waded through the whole thing and looked like an asshole. People were staring at me that were working in there cleaning up all the popcorn and spilt drinks and shit. And then the lights come on. I'm like, oh my God, I really am that dork.
I just didn't wait.
I couldn't fucking believe it.
They showed it in mine.
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, maybe it's a regional thing. They can't show it in Canada. I don't know. Fucking stupid.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, maybe they.
But I sat through the 7 minutes of credits waiting for this shit. I'm all excited. I'm like,
it shows about as much, maybe a little bit more than like that first preview to Long Legs. So it doesn't really give.
Oh,
yeah,
so
it's a teaser. It's like a teaser thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard it was. But I as I was sitting there, I waited. I was like, I think I like texted the group chat like right after I watched it, and Tony said like, let's stay for the credit scene. I waited like 10 seconds. I was like, I don't like trailers, so why am I going to stay to watch this after credit scene? They just left.
So what do you think? Like, that's pretty interesting that they even did that. Like that to me, that would suggest that it's coming out like this year, right?
It is. It's coming out in like October, I think, or November, sometime in the fall.
That's a pretty interesting new.
What's the name of the movie?
Strategy. Was it like Housekeeper or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
It's one word like that. I'll tell you in a second.
But the fact that he is pumping it, like, he was kind of sporadic with his films there for a few years, and now he's just like bumping out shit like crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking wild. Like, I mean, because we talked about this, like Black Coat Starter was 15, and then he came back with I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House in 16.
It's called Keeper.
Oh, right. And then 4 years went by before he did Gretel and Hansel. And of course, he did one episode of The Twilight Zone in 20. But then 4 years passed again. He puts out Long Legs. And then we get The Monkey within 6-7 months apart. These are two movies within a calendar year. And yeah, The Keeper is slated for this year too. So he's technically having two movies come out this year. You could have 3 movies basically in a calendar year.
Maybe
pretty fucking wild for a director of any caliber to be doing that, and to be putting out the quality that he's doing is pretty unique. So it is saying it's another Canada, US. So I'm wondering if he filmed this again in North Van, because he did Long Legs and obviously The Monkey in North Van, same locations.
Maybe he signed like a deal with a Canadian production company to make these movies for this amount of money.
But he's smart though, because you take that American budget and you maximize it from the exchange rate. You get these beautiful locations and stuff for way cheaper. And why not just keep doing your films there if they're going to work?
Yeah,
makes complete fucking, just stay there, keep making movies. You don't have that travel, man. Good plan, man. Really good plan. But I mean, for me, like for a director to do 3 movies in a calendar year is pretty wild. But we've seen this with a lot of like low budget indie stuff. Like guys will pump out movies like 10 movies a fucking year and they're all dog shit. But to have this caliber of quality is kind of shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Osgood is like, he's up there, dude, with one of my favorites modern directors, man. I can't wait to do this modern kind of March Madness thing, because Perkins, man, like honestly, dude, there's only one film that I was a little bit indifferent on, but I've liked everything that he's done. I actually went back in the vaults. I was on the website the other day, GP, and I was looking to see where I placed Black Coat's Daughter the year it came out. I think it was 18, whatever it was. And it was actually my number 2 film that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it was really good.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I knew I had it on the list. I just couldn't remember where. I was like, holy fuck, it's number 2. So yeah, pretty cool. So this he's one of those directors that seems to be making his way. All his movies are making their way into my top 10. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see if the monkey holds up this year because I really enjoyed it. But I mean, we still have the whole rest of the year. I mean, chances of being in the top 10 might be slim, but who knows? This could be a down year after rebounding into a great year. I wouldn't say this year is starting off like overly excessively great, but it's only been 2 months, so who knows?
Right.
So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I was thinking about that the other day while I was delivering about modern directors and how to actually do it. And it's still a little bit convoluted and confusing on how we could actually.
So I think the main thing we need to figure out is like what the cutoff date is.
Yeah, definitely the first thing because you need a starting point.
And okay, like for example,
like do 2004, like because it's
2000,
2005, like the last 20 years, because 20 years is legit actually a long time.
Okay, but like let's say for example, you have a director who made one movie in 2004, and then the rest of his filmography is like 7, 8 to like now.
Well, that's
like,
why I
would that guy count? Because the majority of his filmography is like post 2004.
We could just fail safe it and just do 2000, like the new millennium breakdown bracket. So if you did a movie post 2000, you're eligible.
Okay.
If you debuted post 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that will work. Because I mean, it's 25 years.
So that does include guys like Rob Zombie and.
Yep.
So which makes it a little bit more interesting because you throw some depth in there too. And
yeah, I think you were going to have a shallow pool where you had like some people that you just knew had like zero chance of making a deep run.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot though. Like I was really thinking about it.
It might need to be a 64. I don't know.
Well, that's where it gets interesting because if you allow directors to be part of the bracket, if they only have 2 films, if you made it 3, then it shrinks it down. It makes it a little bit more quality. I don't know. Because, I mean, obviously, if you have 2 films, your quantity goes way up. Like you could have 64 easily with 2 films. There's so many directors done 2 movies.
The thing about like the 2 film thing is I think that like that's like the Ari Aster role, right?
But here's the thing about Ari Aster. You can count Beau is Afraid as like a mid thing, but you also have tracing about the Johnsons.
We don't have to write this in stone though, because you make an exception for somebody like Ari Aster because he has 2 bangers.
Yeah, but it's like his earlier work was the same like kind of dark horror comedy type stuff, and like there's elements of that as Beau is Afraid. I think most horror fans are like gonna go see that.
Dude, All About the Johnsons is literally the most. It's one of the best short films I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I think he deserves.
It's so fucking disturbing. Like it's literally amazing. It's so good. I love it. It's sick though. It's sick as fuck. But
well, I guess we need to make a bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about it, like, I mean, there's so, I didn't realize I love so many modern directors as much as I do. Like I was thinking like the Bigoses and like the Bogolanos and oh my God.
We're in like
so many
renaissance for directors right now. Like you could easily make another Masters of Horror type thing soon.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be so sweet, man? Mick Garris did like another volume and it just made it like modern directors.
Yeah. I've wanted that concept to return for so long.
Well, to be honest, he couldn't really. His dinners are getting smaller because a lot of those guys are dying off.
Yeah,
quite obviously. Like Argento's, he's still there, but you know he's getting older.
Argento's the most active out of all of them right now.
Yeah, it's nuts to me.
He just made 2 movies or something.
Yeah, well, Mick Garris being quiet is a good thing, though. Let's face it, he makes the worst Stephen King adaptations, man. He really does. So. But you know, but Mick Garris is more of like a master. He's more the brainchild behind all this type of shit, though. I like his motivation, his drive for the genre and what he did. Masters of Horrors was such a cool thing. Speaking of shit, that's Vancouver again. Every one of those shot in Vancouver. So, which would make a lot of sense for Perkins to be doing the new volume of Masters of Horror, because he's that Vancouver alumni right now, right? So pretty cool. But yeah, no, I mean, we have a lot of shit going on right now that we need to start working on, because like we got episode 300, which actually I didn't even mention, but we were briefly talking about it before the show started. And I actually did my entire list last night.
I did mine.
We have not announced what this is yet. So,
okay. So I was working on my shit anyways, but I took my laptop up into my film room, which you guys probably know there's not much fucking room in there. And I went around the entire room, like fingering, that sounds horrible, pulling out films and fucking just like going through all the boutique labels, like everything. And just like, okay, this needs to be on here. And then I was like a quarter into the room and I'm like, I already have 100 movies.
Yeah, I was like, that's why I had to keep telling myself with these, because I put a lot of. I mean, I don't know how much we want to talk about this.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about any of it, really.
I'm just saying I did my list. So, anyways, for you guys, then we can work on what the idea is later. But
yeah.
And I took a different approach with mine too, but we'll talk about that off.
Well, that's kind of like what I want to talk about, because I would do the same thing, like about a different approach on mine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get together soon and actually like hammer this out.
Now everyone's like, "What the fuck? They're not going to announce that shit? What a bunch of fucking teaser assholes!"
I just don't want to announce it yet, just in case we end up doing something different or something. If it doesn't work out, I
think it's going to work out. I honestly think that it's, once stage 1 is done, it just kind of sets the ball in motion for stage 2 and 3. Like, I don't really think it's not going to be like our episode 100, which was literally almost made me stop podcasting.
It was not that bad.
It was 4 months of arguing and just, oh my God, my head hurt for 4 months. Like, I almost gave myself liver failure for fucking over drinking and taking too much Tylenol. Fuck, my head hurt, man. It was bad. It was a lot of fucking arguing, man. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say like arguing, but just a lot of like talk. But there was arguments.
Yeah, there was a lot of talking.
It was a lot of grief involved when you're doing such big lists like that, and you have such a fucking huge pool to choose from. You know what I mean? Like, there's arguments for every single one on there, right? But I'm still pretty actually happy with the final outcome of the.
I would change some things about it.
Of course,
it was pretty good.
Well, because we're always evolving, right? Like, we see, like, some of the films even on the list you hadn't even seen at the time, where they were even a little bit vague for me at the time, where we've rekindled stuff like The Tenant, right? Like, I mean, dude, so it's like a lot more influential than you think it is, but yeah, no, you're right. But I mean, every single list that we've ever done, there's room for changes. Lists are made to be changed. It's like rules. They're made to be broken. So, yeah. Good shit, though. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But, no, we got... we just have so many shows on the fucking go here, man. It's just ridiculous. Like, I found myself like last show I was talking about, I was like, man, I was prepping for 5 different shows. Like, I've been I've been doing a really good job of like kind of evening out things. Like, I know I have to get my 59 prep before the 92 done, but at the moment I've watched 24 films for each year. It's just, I wasn't planning on going back and forth on it's just the way it kind of worked out. But I'm going to be done my 59 prep here probably in like, I'll give myself 2 weeks. I want it over with, and then I'm going to like rewatch the top 10 before we record and stuff. So just getting ahead, man. How are you guys doing on 59? Because it's coming sooner than later, bros.
Yeah, I think I'm at like, I don't know, like
I'm not very
15
far.
or something.
I would have liked to be further than I am, but I'm not really worried about it.
No, there's roughly only maybe 40, 45 films that you can watch.
There's not so many. Like, they're very short. And once I get to it, like, I don't think they're going to be that hard to just like bash out.
I'm going to have to get Parker to find me. I think I have 5 on a list that I don't own. And I can't find them. And I can't find
2 movies.
I own 39 of like the 44 that I need to watch.
I own like 2.
I'm a dork, dude. I like older shit. So
I actually own a good bit of them as well.
I own
but it's actually
random like Japanese movie.
It's honestly incredible these years that get the films that get the boutique treatment or just great Blu-ray releases and stuff. Like almost all these movies have like something like a really good release. It's pretty wild. So 59 got some love, man. Got some fucking love. Better than like 41 and fucking 30, whatever the hell we did.
Yeah, 30. I think there was like 2 movies that I owned.
Yeah, I owned a few from like 40. I ended up picking up a couple, but I mean, obviously there wasn't that much to choose from either. But like even the releases for them weren't the greatest. But there was a couple good ones, though. But yeah, no, 59 got some mad love, dude. Like there's so much boutique love on here. But yeah, I'm having a fucking blast with the year, though. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So.
15. YouTube's been my friend for 59. That's what I'll say on that.
What, YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's been the MVP for me.
How have the transfers been good? Because like I mean, I've watched a couple.
Mediocre a lot of the time, but
yeah,
it's good at it's just having the access like readily available like that has been good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I was surprised, man. I watched Night of the Ghouls, which, if you guys are familiar with the movie, it's actually an Ed Wood movie. And if you know anything about Ed Wood, the guy made really, really low budget films.
Yep.
And generally not great. But honestly, the DVD looks pristine. Because I have that old Ed Wood box set with like all of his movies in it that was released. I think Image put it out back in the day. Like I want to say this is prior to 2010. So I've probably had it over 15 years or whatever. But to my amazement, I popped it in and I was like, holy fuck buckets, man, this thing looks really good. And I couldn't believe it. I'm watching this shit going, this is an Ed Wood movie? I hadn't seen it in years. I couldn't even really remember it. And it's actually not as bad as you would think it would be. It's entertaining enough. It's not the worst thing I've watched from 59, just put it that way. So.
Yeah. 59 definitely still has his rough moments.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been like overly bad though. I mean,
I haven't really watched anything horrible myself.
No.
I've been staying towards like the more popular stuff.
Yeah, see, I've been actually like steering towards the other end of things.
I've only watched one movie under a 5. So that's pretty good for 24 films.
Yeah, I've watched at least one. I've probably watched a couple. I would give under a 5, but
you know what I rewatched the other night that I hadn't seen in years was Kaltiki, The Immortal Monster.
Oh yeah, so you log that.
Yeah, dude, I hadn't watched it in years. Man, that movie's got some really, really good scenes in it, man. Like I forgot how well shot those underwater scenes are and shit. It's pretty crazy. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of influence from that movie too. Like people have taken things from Kaltiki though. 100%.
Kaltiki took some shit from Creature from the Black Lagoon.
100%. Yeah, I'm talking about just some of the yeah. Obviously. I mean, it was the response to the creature, man. Right. Yeah. Yeah, good shit, man. Good shit. All right. So we are doing horror westerns today. So I did a little Google search and I'm like, they've got to have some top 10 lists for horror westerns, right? Got to be. Oh. So the first one that popped up here was nightmareonfilmstreet.com. No, it's not even .com actually. It is. It's NOFspodcast.com, whatever. So Nightmare on Film Street, they did a list and this one was actually uploaded February 26th of 2024. So almost a year to the day.
Okay. So
this is pretty modern. So let's take a look here. I haven't looked at the films yet. I just wanted to see when it was posted. So February 26th, pretty good. All right. So they are numbered. Nice. Number 10 is The Pale Door from 2020. Did you guys watch this? I remember watching this.
I feel like I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did too, actually. Wow, this made the top 10 list? I know a lot of people really love this one. I can't remember if I loved it or liked it or what. I remember liking it, though. Definitely. I don't think I loved it. But anyways, number 9 is, Westworld from 1973.
Yeah, this is one I got to see.
They put that in here, and that's interesting.
I've actually never seen that.
I do keep it in my horror collection, but it's like super sci-fi, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really good though. Really fucking good. Like I love Westworld. It's a great movie. The sequel, not so much. Future World, not as good. Number eight is The Burrowers from 2008, which we have covered on this podcast. Does this movie not have a Blu-ray? Because I still have a DVD.
I think it's on DVD only.
Okay, so I was thinking about this because when I was going through my collection yesterday, I pulled out The Burrowers and I was like, fuck. I'm like, did they put out one and I just missed it? But yeah, okay, I didn't miss it. That one needs a Blu-ray though, because it would pop though, man. Like the screenshot on this is like crazy clear. Fuck, it looks good. Number 7, wow, is The Wind from 2018. Now this is one of those movies where it's super slow. It relies on like the atmosphere, and it's like a good movie, but it's super boring.
I always meant to see this one and never did.
I thought it was kind of boring. I don't know. I was disappointed with this.
I gave it like a 6 or 6.5.
I was like at the same range. I'm like, this is such an awesome, like well-made film, but it just didn't really do a lot for me. Number 6 is The Missing from 2003. Oh, interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Wow, I haven't seen this movie ever. Yeah, Evan Rachel Wood in this movie. Interesting, man. Fuck, I don't really even remember it. Oh, I got to change pages here. Interesting. Number 5 is From Dusk Till Dawn. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. You put that on the list. Okay. Number 4 is, oh shit, I didn't even think of this. Number 4 is Near Dark from 87.
Oh yeah.
I always think of Near Dark when I think Western, even though it's like kind of not like traditional Western.
It just has that backdrop. You know, it has that backdrop. It's like, yeah. Okay, so number 3 is, of course, Ravenous from 1999.
Yep, that's the one everybody always mentions.
Fucking awesome movie. Fucking awesome. I remember watching when it first came out and just being floored by it. I was like, this movie's fucking incredible. Love it. Oh, sweet. Number 2 is Brimstone. Absolutely love this movie.
Bone Tomahawk, everyone.
So good. Yeah, it probably is. Yep. Number 1 is Bone Tomahawk, which is a fantastic film also.
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty decent list. I mean, obviously with 10, you're leaving off like a ton of films. Here's another list from Screen Rant. Let's see if they have anything different. The first one is The Burrowers. Next is Dead Birds. It's a good movie.
Okay.
2004, Vampires from 1998. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can. That was Carpenter's like way of like he always wanted to do a Western.
Yeah, it was like a neo-Western type deal, right? Yeah. Okay, The Wind. We talked about that one. Pale Rider from 1985. What the fuck?
It's not a horror movie.
This isn't even a horror movie.
It's not even close.
It says one of the more subtly ambiguous horror westerns is Pale Rider.
What?
Subtly and ambiguous, like they're using some words that are like trying to convince people, but you ain't selling that shit to us, bro.
That's not even close to a horror movie.
No, the Misty movie is more horror than this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the closest thing Eastwood ever did to a horror film, like a genre film.
This is like a very like stock Western movie,
right? I can't even. That's really bizarre. I never thought for one moment that this movie would ever be included on a horror list.
Somebody's just trying to like gas themselves up over here.
Weird. Westworld, Bone Tomahawk, and Ravenous, Near Dark's pretty much the same list. What the fuck? Really? High Plains Drifter?
These people have actually not ventured out.
High Plains Drifter is closer than.
You know what's funny? I've seen this on horror lists before. It's like it's super subtle again, but I would say if you're comparing this to Pale Rider, this one definitely has more of horror elements than that film. Yeah. But like I still wouldn't say
I wouldn't call
High Plains Drifter a horror film.
Like it's
awesome. I love this movie, but come on,
he's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It really is. Yeah, interesting. There's obviously a lot of films that weren't mentioned, but.
Yeah, I think you got like Tremors 4, you got Ginger Snaps Back.
Where's Curse of the Undead?
Curse of the Undead, Grim Prairie Tales.
Really? You could just call Tremors a Western.
I mean, there's fucking Billy the Kid versus Dracula. There's that one. That one's pretty fun.
And God Said to Cain, Ghost Town.
Ghost Riders. That's another one. Ghost Town.
Two-Fisted Tales.
Fucking shut up. God Monster, the Indian Flats. That's another one that's pretty fun. It's pretty bad, but it's fun. Yeah. What was that one that Wesley Snipes did a few years back? Gallowalkers. When did that one come out? About 10 years ago, something like that. Wesley Snipes doing a Western horror film. It's fucking random. Do you guys ever see Blood Moon? That one was kind of cool.
No, I've never seen Blood Moon.
That one came out, I don't know, mid 2000s, something like that. Cutthroats 9. That's fucking, I love that movie. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's Into the Damned.
The Quick and the Undead.
Yeah, doesn't it have fucking Chris Kattan in it?
I can't remember.
It does. I think it does. Into the Damned. That one's kind of cool. Too long. It's too fucking long, but it's pretty fun though. It's like a 2 hour.
There's some out there, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
not enough, but
yeah, it's kind of a difficult setting.
There's a lot of really low budget ones. I'm not going to mention because they're pretty shitty. But like some of the higher budget ones that, I mean, there's a fair amount, but there's just not enough. I feel like there was like a resurgence a couple years ago with like Brimstone and like Bone Tomahawk and stuff, and then they just don't. I think the problem is with making those type of films is that they're very costly, right? Because you have to have the setting, you have to have the costumes. There's a lot of money that goes into making a Western because it's a throwback, right? It's like any type of period piece. It's just more expensive with costume wise.
Yeah.
So, but makes sense. But yeah, with those two movies like Brimstone and Bone Tomahawk, I thought like for sure that was like the next thing.
I feel like Westerns just don't really do that well anymore either, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like there's still always an audience for them, but it's just probably not enough of an audience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I love Western. I think we all are big Western fans. Yeah. And like, I could watch Westerns all day. I just love them. So
yeah, they're not really, most people don't actually like Westerns.
I don't understand it. I think the whole Western setting and just the idea of like, you know, the hero walking into the town, like a lot of those kind of stereotypical narratives and shit like that is fun, dude. But it's like, it's the bar fights, it's the gun fights. I love like old Westerns, like the spurs and the horror. I love everything about it, man. The dirty feel, like the you know, just the sandy feel to them. I love it, man. It's great. Like how guys are drinking fucking whiskey straight up at 8 a.m. Like it's just water. It's just, it's just the craziest shit, man. Yeah, it's fucking awesome, man. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't really. GP got anything?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, this was a really slow news week and shit. There was really nothing going on. So, not really seeing anything. Nope, not a fucking thing. Oh, well. Oh, here's an interesting article. These are the only horror films that actually won Academy Awards.
Oh yeah, that's on right now, right?
Oh yeah, I was gonna
Oscars.
kind of pay attention to that as we were recording. Starts at 7.
These are the only horror films that actually won Academy Awards. So that's crazy. So Rosemary's Baby, number 14. Wow, there's only 14. The Exorcist, 73, of course. Jaws, 74. Or it says 74. I think it's 75. But The Omen, right? Alien, An American Werewolf in London for effects, right? The Fly, again for, I think, effects. Misery, well, Kathy Bates won for Best Leading Actress that year.
Yep.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, 92. I don't remember. I think they won a couple different awards, didn't they? Okay.
They're probably like costume design, stuff like that. Makeup.
So it says, while Best Sound Editing, Best Makeup, and Best Costume Design are nothing to scoff. Okay. So yeah, they won for Best Sound Editing, Makeup, and Costume Design. Huh. Sounds of the Lambs, of course. That was Best director,
Like the
best
big
actor,
five?
best actress, best adapted screenplay. Holy shit, dude! They won all the big ones. Best
Yeah,
picture,
it's
they won 5. That's crazy. Sleepy Hollow, really?
Probably set design or something. Costume design.
It says that's why no one contested the film's best art direction. Art direction. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Oh my god, really? The Wolfman, 2010's Wolfman. What the
Probably,
fuck?
probably a special effects or makeup or something.
It says the best makeup award, even though the film's rushed production resulted in Del Toro's transformation being mostly achieved through CGI. Exactly. That's why I was thinking right away. I'm like, what? Okay. Get Out from 2018, which I know is a screenplay.
Yep.
And Godzilla -1. They won for
Black
best
Swan.
visual. Best visual.
Black Swan won for best lead actress.
Yeah, they didn't include that one, so I don't think they considered it a horror film then.
What movie?
Black
Swan. Yeah, they didn't include that on this list because they're probably not considering it to be a horror film. But
It's definitely a horror film.
But these are obviously bona fide horror films. But yeah, only 14 on a list is pretty fucking sad. Considering,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. It's just a genre that just gets snubbed constantly.
Yep.
Pretty wild. Huh. Interesting. All right. Well,
I think it's going to take home some awards tonight because you figure I think Nosferatu is going to win some of the art awards.
oh, the Oscar. Oh, yeah. Because we usually we never used to record on Oscar night because somebody would never want to.
Yeah. I'm pulling for the Oscars. Yeah, pulling for the Brutalist to win Best Picture, but I won't be upset if the Substance wins.
Why would you not want The Substance to win?
Because I think the Brutalist is a better movie, and I like it more.
What are you talking for best picture? But the Substance is going to win for effects though, or something. Like how could they not?
I think it's going to win for best lead actress.
Demi should win. Yeah,
I bet you Demi Moore does win for best lead. Yeah, and then I bet you they should get at least nominated for effects though, because
It's got 5. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, I didn't look.
Screenplay, director, best picture, lead actress, and maybe it's effects. I don't know what the last one was.
If effects is in the list, that's crazy because it looks pretty. The makeup effects are really good. Mm-hmm. But then again, I don't give a flying fuck about award shows because they are all rigged and stupid and fucking lame and boring anyways.
It's
so I would never watch it because it's stupid to me.
The last time I watched it was 2019, and I predicted every winner throughout the night because it's very. I don't really know who's going to win tonight, though, honestly. And there was a couple of things last year that I was happy with the upsets, like Godzilla winning.
Yeah.
I want the Kitty Cat movie to win Best International Picture too.
See, I don't even know what the fuck that is, man.
Hello.
Kitty is it called the Kitty Cat movie?
Yeah,
I call it the Kitty Cat movie.
Oh.
But it's just
I see that. I see that picture everywhere.
Yeah, I would be happy if that took home Best International and The Wild Robot took home Best Animated, so they could both win.
Yeah. Well, good time to leave off the intro with Oscar talk because I don't want to continue that. So that's going to conclude the intro. We'll be back here with some Western horror films. Yeah. Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. Now tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 286, Western Horror Volume Dux. We're going to take it all the way back to 1959 with a film called The Living Coffin. Directed by Fernando Mendez, who actually did a couple films in 1959. He did another one called The Black Pit of Dr. M, which I think is phenomenal. He's been getting some love, though. He's been getting some love. I actually just got in this box set from Indicator with a couple films that he directed called The Vampire and The Vampire's Coffin, which is really cool. I have yet to check him out, but Yeah, man. Dude's getting some fucking love. Mexican vampire stuff is pretty cool. Quick little synopsis here. A cowboy and his sidekick meet a ranching family that is haunted by spirits and vampires. Okay. That's...
Yeah.
I guess we should also mention before we get into the reviews that we did an audible on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because as you know, last week when we announced that we were doing this Western horror thing, and we themed it with like 92 and 59 movies because we're killing two birds with one stone. And we mentioned Two-Fisted Tales. And we were just like shocked that we never heard of it because it had so many like big people in it.
Yeah,
like
only
Sadler,
to find out.
Brad Pitt. Well, it turns out that it's just 3 Tales from the Crypt episodes.
Yeah. With a wraparound.
With a wraparound. But to be fair, I did read that these were turned into Tales from the Crypt episodes.
Yeah.
So technically, this was its own thing first, and then it became Tales from the Crypt episodes.
Yeah, it was, I don't know what it was supposed to be, but it was like a fail or some shit. And then anyways.
It was just going to be like another sort of like Tales from the Crypt type show.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a comic book called Two-Fisted Tales back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was going to be basically that, but it didn't really take off. And then they just recycled the segments into Tales from the Crypt episodes in like season 4 and 5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up not doing that because we're going to eventually do those Tales from the Crypt episodes anyway. But yeah, so if you're wondering, that's why.
Yeah, so the movie that we end up doing instead is it's from 92 and it's called Mad at the Moon, which I thought was a TV film, which turns out it's actually not a TV film. So
that's shocking.
I know.
Yeah,
it is
like,
fucking, it's incredibly shocking.
I was thinking as I was watching it that like, I don't think this is a TV film, but it feels like it is quality wise.
Yeah, dude. Right.
It feels like some leftovers.
So The Living Coffin from 1959, Mexican horror. So I'm assuming you guys have never seen this one before.
No.
We know you did because if you type in The Living Coffin on YouTube, your video is the second thing that pops up.
Yeah, so I didn't look it up. I actually forgot I'd even reviewed it, but I think it's from when I did 31 Days of Horror, maybe the first volume.
Yeah, it's 9 years ago.
Yeah,
so I assume 2015.
Still rocking the DVD for this, man, right there. But yeah, it's crazy. I completely didn't even realize I'd even talked about this one before. So what are your guys' thoughts on The Living Coffin? I will say one thing. So for the 2 films that this director did from 1959 are like polar opposite films. Like this one right here is like, it's in a sense, it's like folky, it's like the La Llorona story. And mixed with like a Western theme, obviously. And it's got like, it's kind of got that like later like spaghetti Western fucking humor to it too. It gets a little goofy at times. So the tone in this film is like, it's just all over the place, where the Black Pit of Dr. M is 100% serious and so well written. Like it's crazy that these movies came out in the same fucking year. When you guys watch the other movie, you're gonna be like, holy shit, that was the same director. It's crazy, dude. Like just revisiting this after watching Black Pit just recently too, I was like, holy fuck, man, wild, super wild. Same director, same year. So so what are you guys' thoughts?
This one's probably like I don't know, I think this one to me, I think that there's like cool things about it. Like I like the hacienda setting, which is pretty cool. And I like the like folklore of the La Llorona and it's
the tale of the crying woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the folk element to it. That was something that stood out to me. This is definitely one of the highlights so far. I haven't watched as many films as you guys, but this is one of the highlights for 59 for me, for sure.
It's kind of, dude, like the horse stuff is like so ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. That's the comedic elements are. It's like so funny too, because like when you talk about raw horsepower,
I couldn't
like
even
it's a real
tell
thing.
if it was supposed to be funny or not.
Well, like when the horse
think it
throws
was,
him the
yeah.
lasso and like he pulls him out, but the horse is like struggling to get him out. And I'm like, dude, it's not called raw horsepower for no reason. That horse would have ripped him out of that mud in no second. Because it was the fact that he was struggling. I actually laughed out loud at this because I'd forgotten about the comedic elements. Like that's not even the goofiest shit in the film. There's a part in the film where like you get Looney Tune sound effects, man. When the guy gets bopped on the head, it does like Looney Tune sound effects.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, and then he's like,
Back
oh,
in-
and he's all acting all
back in the
weird.
gun.
Yeah, dude.
And
I'm
that, like the horse is literally the hero of the movie.
yeah. Well, if he doesn't save him, if he sinks, then it's over.
But not even that. Like at the end, the horse comes in too. The horse finds the hidden passage.
Yeah.
The horse like defeats the bad guy at the end.
That's the whole, mystique of like Westerns and stuff like that, where the horse could be a character, right? And that's where the comedy comes into.
It kind of felt like, especially with where it went. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Dude, this is Scooby Doo before actual Scooby Doo. Like, I'm not even joking,
even gonna
dude.
say like right at the beginning, like this is like Scooby Doo and the tale of
one thing,
the living coffin.
Yeah, one thing I learned about Scooby Doo from doing like 39 and 40 whatever, and then this year is. Scooby-Doo essentially was just taking a like trope,
a formula. It was a formula.
A formula and trope that existed throughout like film and media.
Oh, absolutely.
And sort of ran with it.
I mean, you look at the Living Coffin, like the whole third act in this movie is obviously 10 years, about 10, 11 years before Scooby-Doo made its premiere. But it is 100% a fucking Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing, like they literally have a mask reveal. Like they pull a fucking mask off. It's crazy, dude. Like it's so wild. And like the whole explanation, like, A, B to C to D, you're just like, holy shit, dude. I wrote Scooby-Doo down like 14 times. I couldn't remember this movie. And I was laughing watching this. I'm like, this is fucking Scooby-Doo. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, but I really like the setting of this one though. Like, and just like the idea of like the town in fear of this like legend and stuff, and this girl's aunt like doesn't want to get buried without a whatever the hell that thing's like an alarm.
I like the knife. I like the knife in the clock because they put the knife in the clock to like at the time of death or whatever. But if you remove it, then the spirit escapes kind of thing, right? And of course there's a moment in the film where the daughter she actually removes the knife, and then that's when shit kind of goes fucking crazy and stuff like that. But like it's I can't get the Scooby-Doo element out of my fucking mind here. It's so bizarre. This movie is it's a live action Western Scooby-Doo episode, man. It's crazy. I mean, some people would probably call it like a complete cop out because if you go into this thinking that you're getting like the legend of, the crying woman, which we haven't even really discussed. If you're not familiar with the legend of the crying woman, aka La Llorona, it's essentially about a woman that, she had her kids drowned. Her kids drowned and stuff like that. And then, she ends up dying and stuff like that. Anyways, like she's crying for her kids. Like it's a spirit crying for her kids and stuff like that. Like the short and long. I mean, we've had how many La Llorona movies? Last bunch of years.
I didn't realize it was like this long-standing like Mexican folktale.
You didn't know that? Yeah,
no,
dude, La Llorona is freaking.
So my question:
there's movies even older than this.
Yeah, I was wondering how many movies prior to 1959 were covering the whole La Llorona folklore. Like, there's got to be a bunch, but like this is one of the earlier ones that I can remember with it. But it's obviously done a little bit differently because it's not. They use the lore and just kind of use it as a backdrop, really, in this episode or I just call it an episode in this movie. But I like the whole folklore of the crying woman elements and stuff like that because they really do explain it away. Like, oh no, she blames me for this, and like I let the kids go down to the water and they drowned and blah blah blah. Like they really do focus on. They give you a lot of the actual elements of the mythology and the folklore of the the crying woman and stuff like that. I think it's pretty well done. Honestly, the writing is not even horrible in this film at all. I think it's pretty decent. It just goes into a place where you probably wouldn't expect it, which is probably a decent thing to do because, like you said, assuming that there was a bunch of La Llorona films done before this with the mythology and actually straight up like supernatural and wherever they may have taken the narratives and stuff like that, this one is definitely kind of sticks out as being a little bit different. So I like that. But I mean, this movie isn't without all of its tropes and shit like that. There's like literally a scene in this film. There's a bar fight scene that goes on for at least 10 minutes. Like straight up 10-minute fucking bar fight scene. And I swear to God, every single punch thrown, it's got to be a foot in front of their face. You can tell they're not connecting. It's pretty funny to me.
Yeah, the bar fight scene. Oh my God, the bar fight, how we dying.
Dude, it goes on for like 10 minutes. It's so wild. It's so wild how long it goes on.
I like the setting a lot. It felt very like classic, like Mexican villa. Had some cool lighting to it. This movie has some spunk to it. It's not the most world breaking thing. I'm definitely not suggesting anything like that, but I thought this was a good little watch. I was glad I got to see this.
Well, if you think this movie's good, Tyler, you're gonna love Black Pit, man.
Yeah,
that movie's like legit. Like it's really good. So yeah, they're totally different. But I like this movie because it does rely a lot on, you know, the narrative and the you know, the actual characters and the backstory and stuff like that. And there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people that are involved in, like, you know, you get these reveals and shit like that. And you're like, oh, okay. But it does have a really good atmosphere to it. The setting's great. The atmosphere is really good. You know, the music is what it is. It's 1959. It's, you know, it's nothing overly crazy or nothing like that. But it is like kind of an eerie watch. You know, I just think the one thing about this film that kind of takes you out of it is it's not even that it has comedy in it. It's the type of comedy and the sound effects, which I don't really care for. I wish they hadn't used like the Acme fucking, you know, Looney Tunes type sounds towards the end. I think that was a little over the top. I don't mind the horse shit because I've seen other movies with goofy scenes with horses and stuff. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a homage to that, really. I mean, there was scenes like that in the 30s. So that shit doesn't really bother me because like the horse became a character, became a hero and stuff. It kind of plays off that and it's kind of funny in itself. But yeah, I just didn't really need like the over the top goofy sound effects and shit. It's just like, it's kind of cringeworthy, but you know, otherwise I got to say though, there's a scene where there is like a mask, whatever, not the one that's actually like taken off the face, but like there's, you know, kind of like of the aunt. Dude, that effect looked really good, man. Like it actually looked like her, like that whole mannequin thing. I was like, holy shit, dude, that actually looked fucking legit pretty good, man. Damn, pretty good stuff. So
yeah.
This movie kind of had a lot going on too, which was a lot of the 59 movies so far have been pretty deterministic on a path. There's not a whole lot of variety from what I've seen so far as far as the script writing goes. Granted, I haven't watched any of the real top movies yet, but this one did some stuff that you're not really seeing in the American movies that felt pretty cool to me. To give the year a little bit of variety, a different flavor. It's interesting seeing like these like lower budget like foreign movies too of the time. I feel like I haven't really seen like a large helping of that. When you get to older movies, only like the most popular ones.
yeah, like I said though, when you get to the Black Pit of Dr. M, man, you're gonna be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You want to talk about writing and narratives and like creativity, and you got to remember it's 1959 and it still holds up like really well.
Yeah.
So really good stuff, but yeah, definitely different. You know, I've watched, you know, like I said, 24 films, so I've seen a little bit of variety and stuff, but you know, there's still a lot of like, you know, the big monsters and, you know, kind of like atomic fallout shit and stuff like that. But, you know, there's still movies like Black Pit and, you know, Jack the Ripper, which I think is a really fantastic adaptation from 1959.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper is pretty good.
It's pretty good actually. Which
I've looked over the list a lot. There's a bunch of stuff I'm interested in. I'm just waiting, kind of like for a lot of these I've been watching like when I can because they're so short. So I haven't really wanted to like sit down and watch one of like the better ones until I'm in the right conditions for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, honestly, I've been pretty impressed with 59. I think in like terms of like our pre-60s years, 59 might be one of the stronger years.
It is, man. Like there's strong films like The Four Skulls of Jonathan Drake. That's another really good film. Horrors of Black Museum. I've always been a big fan of that one. I love the look of The Angry Red Planet. That one's always been a fun film for me. The Monster Piers Blancas is like, you know, another one of those creature kind of rip-off
Creature
films.
rip-off.
Yeah. But it's fun though.
The
Like,
other movie
even
named
4D
Ghost of
Man was pretty
Yatsuda is good. The one that you didn't watch, the other movie named Ghost of Yatsuda is really good. I've seen that one before.
Okay. Which one, JP? Did you say?
4D Man.
Oh, 4D Man. Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. I do have a copy of it. I just need to get to it. But
Yeah, I passed on that from Kino so many times. I kind of wish I did, because it's sort of like an Invisible Man type movie.
yeah.
But I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Another really fun one that I've covered before, somewhere on 31 Days, Invisible Invaders. That's a really fun one too.
I'm honestly really excited to watch the movies like Hounds of Baskerville and
It's good.
Hounds of Baskerville was pretty good.
that one and The Tingler. Those I've known about for a long time, and I've considered them like two of my bigger horror blind spots.
Oh yeah, The Tingler's awesome.
It's nice that we get 3 Vincent Price movies this year: House on Haunted Hill, The Tingler, The Bat. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. You also get the sequel to The Fly, Return of the Fly.
Yep.
Yeah, which I like as well.
Yeah, Return's good. It's fun.
Yeah, I actually like the whole Fly franchise.
I've never seen The Curse of the Fly, or whatever the third one is, and I've never seen The Fly 2, like the sequel to
The Fly 2 it is like a really good special effects movie. It's not like nowhere near as good as like the first the Cronenberg one, but it does have like a lot of cool effects in it.
I feel like if you can remove yourself from Cronenberg's remake completely and just watch the second one as its own thing, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah. I have that box set, so
I would like to do that franchise one day.
Yeah, I honestly like all the all the films too. Was there 6 of them? Yeah. So yeah, it's solid, man. Solid franchise.
I think there's 5.
Yeah, there's 5.
It's 3 and 2. Yeah, right.
I have that box set from Scream Factory, so this is probably a good opportunity to go ahead and actually watch them.
Yeah, when it came out a few years back, I went back and revisited them all, and I was like, man, this is really solid, man. These films are solid. So
yeah, it's actually a good franchise.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
You want to rate this one?
Yeah, Tyler, what do you give it?
I'm going to give it a 6.
JP?
I'm going to give it a 6.5. It gets a little crazy goofy at the end and stuff like that, but it's kind of charming in its goofiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good things about this movie. I think it's just a well-made film. It really is. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get a Blu-ray for this because I don't think there's much for Elements anymore. Like I said, the Castaneda line that was put out by Panic House a few years back dropped like 7 films and ended up putting 4 of them on an Indicator box set. And this is one of the films that didn't get a Blu-ray release. So I'm thinking it was probably something to do with Elements, which is unfortunate. But again, going back to Black Pit, man, you guys, you'll just be floored at the difference in the 2 films and the quality, and like they're just so damn different from the same director. It's crazy. I think this one's really fun. There's a lot of good things that are happening. If you're a fan of Scooby-Doo, I couldn't see you not liking this. It really is a fucking... Actually, one thing we didn't mention is this movie's in color. Shockingly in color.
Yeah, the color is really... It looks good in color, too. I've seen a couple of the... So one of the 59 movies I saw, or 2 of them were in color, and they both were not good-looking movies.
Yeah, it's weird. You just think that this one wouldn't be in color because it's a Western. You would think you would just do it in black and white, right?
It's like probably low budget, I would assume.
Oh, probably. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I still think these were, obviously studio films. This guy wasn't pumping out this type of content, that often in the late 50s without being studio made films. But I'm going to give this one also a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's fun. It's fun. Definitely worth your time. So. It definitely has some. I like the whole angle when they talk about like how the doctor was like the only one that could like identify something, and then he ends up getting offed and shit like that. There's some really good moments, like even in the narrative in this film. So I like the whole doctor thing. But anyways, yeah. So that's the Living Coffin from 1959.
22 shots.
All right, so getting into the second feature here. We're going to go to 1992 with a film called Mad at the Moon. This was the re-up. So after Two Fisted Tales failed itself.
Did you guys watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I was going to watch 2 movies today anyway, so it didn't matter what I watched.
I watched Two Fisted Tales, and I was like, the first segment, I was like, this seems so familiar.
I knew right away. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I was
like, wait, was this a Tales from the Crypt episode? And then I was like, thinking like, oh, maybe like, just like one of the things is like but then by the time you got the freaking yellow, I was like, oh my God, this is like a famous Tales from the Crypt episode.
Right.
It's the only one that is like longer than normal.
Yeah. So after we scrapped Two Fisted Tales, JP decided that we were going to be doing this one, Mad at the Moon.
I didn't decide.
Yeah, you did.
I think I suggested
you decided.
You said in the chat, let's do this one. I'm like, okay, fine. Because there's no fucking point of doing the Two Fisted Tales considering.
Yeah, I said let's drop Two Fisted Tales because.
Yeah, and then then your next comment was let's do this one.
I said we should have done this one.
Okay, and then I was like, well, do you want to do it because you mentioned it? Like I was whatever.
Yeah, so I was like, Moodz wants to do it. So
I mean, I had it in a I had the fucking thing saved in my computer anyways because I was going to watch it for 92 anyways. So
yeah,
whatever. And I was going to be watching a film today anyways, so like it didn't really matter to me. All right, so Mad at the Moon synopsis: a young woman on the frontier marries a meek farmer who has an annoying habit of going through a rather drastic change every full moon. Well, you know what's really annoying? All 98 minutes of this movie.
Oh my God, this shit was like a daytime soap opera.
Dude, you know what's funny about it too is there's a trailer for it. So somebody must have released it or something on like disc somewhere.
I fucking thought it was a TV film, but it turns out it's not.
So did I. But like the trailer that's on YouTube, the quality is like so much better than that YouTube version we watched, which looks like a VHS or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would have helped out, like, visually with it, but
yeah, because it's a very dark watch.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the transfer wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. I've watched worse VHS transfers than that on YouTube, but to be honest, man, this is how do I put this? I fucking hated this movie. I hated every minute of this movie. This movie sucks, dude. Like, it is so fucking bland. There's literally a scene in this movie where you have the wife and the husband and the other love interest sitting around a table with the mother too. And it pans around.
They're brothers.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying the other love interest. But it pans around the table for, I want to say, at least 8 to 10 minutes. Not a fucking word is spoken. It is so tedious.
Want to be in this line of work? Always wanted to be.
What the fuck, Jeremy? Holy shit, that was Jeremy. Okay.
That was weird.
So
that was the trailer.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even really how to correlate the opening. Like, there's an intro to this film. There's like a prologue scene where obviously everyone's kids. We get like a young version of the girl, and then we get the two brothers, and there's no dialogue in the beginning. It's like shot in black and white, and it's like the girl, she's hanging out with these two boys, and then the father shows up and he picks up one of the boys, but the father is like our main character in the present. So I'm like, what the fuck? So after the movie ended, I went back and watched the prologue, and I was still confused. I didn't even understand what the fuck they were trying to do with that. Like, I still don't even get it. But anyway, so we get this prologue, which I feel like obviously plays into the film, which I really don't know how it works. So as adults, basically we have this overpowering mother. She's like a Carrie mother. Maybe not as religious, but kind of. Anyways, she's like hell bent on her daughter basically marrying this fucking dude that she wants nothing to do with. Like, she has no interest in marrying this farmer at all. She wants basically to be with his brother. So what happens is her brother They're out one night or whatever, and he kind of shows that he has no interest in her, so she drops that idea and then gives in and marries this fucking farmer, which she's just like has no ambition to be with. Like, there's one of the most awkward sex scenes. It's pretty much rape.
Yeah.
It's pretty much rape. Like, she's laying there in full disgust, trying not to have a penis enter her vagina. And it just seems so rapey, and it's so awkward watching. There's no he just kept saying Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. And I'm like, motherfucking Forrest Gump. The whole time I just kept thinking Forrest Gump. There's all these Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. Oh, I'd rather be watching Forrest Gump than this piece of shit. So anyways, we get this shit. And then the movie's just like, it's so weird. It's like 98 minutes of like not very much dialogue. Just a lot of like characters doing shit. So if you go on IMDb, the very first tag on this movie, Mad at the Moon, is horror. The next one is romance. Okay, that makes sense. And then Western. Yeah, okay, romance, Western. There is not a fucking lick of horror in this entire movie.
Yeah, it's like very, very, such a very light touch of it. And it's got like one of the most pathetic like fight scenes at the end.
At the end, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I like rewound it because I was like, wait, what happened?
So we, about an hour into this movie, we finally get this moment where she comes downstairs and this farmer, this dude is like, he's basically hammering up the windows. He's putting boards over the windows inside the house because there's a full moon coming and he knows that he's going to change. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh,
anyways, he goes out there and does this change and shit like that. And I'm like, and it's like not even like a transformation or nothing. It's like he's not even like a werewolf. It's just so pathetic.
He looks like a guy that like dressed up as a werewolf.
Yeah, dude, it was really awkward and like, what the fuck? And then like she bails on him and like her mother's all pissed off and shit like that. But like we get a couple of these kind of like transformations, which he doesn't really transform into a werewolf. So I mean, like, there's literally no horror elements to this movie at all.
Yeah, this movie's a solid like 25 minutes too long.
Yeah, dude.
I got about 40 minutes in and hit the 1.5.
It's like a love triangle.
Where did you watch it at?
I watched it on YouTube, but that setting doesn't work if I watch it on the TV.
Fuck
Really?
me, JP. Fuck me, JP. I didn't even consider using the 1.5. I never watched movies with 1.5, and I should have on this one because I'm like literally an hour into this movie going, nothing has happened.
Yeah, I can do
at all.
I can do 1.5 on my tablet, and then for whatever reason, the Criterion app on your TV will let you go. Will let you change the speed.
It's so crazy when you finish a movie. And the one thing I did like about the film, it opens up with that self-playing piano. The movie opens up with the choreograph. What do they call those things? Those phonograph things.
Yeah. And
it goes into the play motion, and then it ends with it going down. I thought that was actually kind of a cool bookend to the film.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy when you watch a 98-minute film and it ends, and then you go back and watch the prologue and you still can't make sense of what the fuck just happened. You're like, what? Like, it's so ambiguous in itself. Like, I feel like this movie's trying to be super artsy. And like,
I was wondering if it like, is he not a werewolf? Like, is it supposed to be like,
well, he explains in the movie that, so the explanation for him being a werewolf was, what had happened was, I think the father got sick and died, and his mom was responsible for the farm that he grew up on, played by Daphne Zuniga.
Zuniga.
Yeah, from like Melrose Place and stuff like that. And she doesn't even have a speaking role. She's literally the mom in this film in a flashback scene. Anyways, it shows this scene where she's like doing work at nighttime, and he's in a baby carriage, and there's a full moon, and it's the moon is shining on him, and he explains it away that like that was when he kind of like fell victim to like moon sickness. He calls it moon sickness. So they don't even use the term werewolf. It's like moon sickness, because there's a bunch of dialogue in the film where he talks about like people getting sick like with epilepsy and all this type of shit. And he's like, I got moon sickness. So I don't even think it's even trying to be a werewolf film, considering there's no transformation scenes in this. So it is metaphorical. I just don't fucking understand, because I'm not that damn smart, what they're trying to do, because there's literally no substance at all like to this film. Like, I just don't understand. But that's the scene where they try to explain away that he's moon sickness or werewolf or whatever. But then the brother kind of like denies that. And he's like, no, he's like, that's not even what it is. So maybe it's in this guy's head. I don't really fucking know. All I know is that like nothing happens. There's awkward shit where the mom goes to like the brother of this guy. And then like they're all of a sudden like having these weird dinners together and shit like that. And then what's even more confusing about the whole film is that the girl Jenny, who marries this farmer, who's a really awkward fucking guy, and like the whole movie, she just loathes him. She does not like the idea that she's with him. Like now she's freaked out because of his moon sickness, quote unquote. And then, you know, something happens at the end of the film, and then she's like, I'm there for you. I'm like, oh my God, go fuck yourself. This narrative sucks so bad. I just wasted 98 minutes of my life watching this shit. I'm not even joking. This is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen in my life. It was tedious. It was dumb. It was bland. It was boring.
It was not good.
The fact that it's dubbed as a horror film is so irresponsible. And I'm using the word irresponsible because it's like they're fucking with you, man. They're fucking with you. It's absolutely disturbing that it would be dubbed as a horror film. It's not an ounce of horror in it. It doesn't have an ounce of anything. It has no substance. Like, did you get anything out of this movie? Like I feel like it's trying to be artsy, which is fine, but you still have to have a little bit of something there, like a little bit of substance. Like these characters are all so unlikable too, right? Like our main lead,
it's not good. Just somebody had a script they dusted off somewhere. They're just bad.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
not
like
interesting.
Like even
the acting's not good. Even like the sets, it looks so cheap. That's why I thought it was a TV movie.
I didn't think the sets were overly that bad. I didn't think the costumes were overly that bad for being a period piece and stuff. I thought a lot of like the set piece, like the exteriors, like some of the house. I thought that stuff looks good, but I felt like a lot of like the costumes and the set pieces didn't look very good. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, you know, top shelf stuff, but I didn't think it looked like... It felt like a daytime soap to me. Mm. I mean, it's pretty bad when, like, you get almost an hour into the film and the most drama and the most suspense you've had is a guy nailing fucking boards up on a window. Yeah, there was some point I was like, all right, this is going to be wrapping up soon. I checked the time and it was like 55 minutes. But doesn't it make you wonder how something like this even gets made? It's just someone got it. It's obviously low budget. Somebody just had a shitty script, got a little like had a place to shoot probably, and just got a little money together and went out wild. Did this person ever make anything else? I don't even know. I just, you know, I really hate using the word dumb, but man, this movie was just, like I said, I could barely tell you what happened, and then I watched it today. It was awful. Well, nothing happens. That's the thing. Like literally nothing happens in this movie. At the ending doesn't even make sense. All of a sudden she's like consoling him and she's like, I'm here for you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like she hated this guy's guts the whole movie. Like she wanted nothing to do with this guy. And like now she just feels, I'm like, fuck, whatever, man. I don't know. This guy that directed the movie actually wrote Death Becomes Her, which is actually pretty funny. Another film from 92. So I don't know. It doesn't actually show what he directed. So it just shows he was a producer, script stuff, writer. So maybe this is the only thing he directed. He did Apartment Zero from 88. I don't know what that is. He did The Substitute from 93. Where are you seeing the director credits? Because when I click on his name, the director credits don't come up. I Letterboxd. Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah. On IMDb, his director credits don't come up on the page. Fucking IMDb is getting bad for that, man. I've noticed. And he did a movie called Death Dreams from 91. No. Yeah, I think there's actually a point where he literally says that the moon bewitched him. So I'm starting to think it's like in his head because like he's not really. There's no transformation. Like it's, you know, I think it's like childhood trauma, I think though too. Maybe that's the metaphor for it because maybe that was the moment where he realized that like his life is a lot different because, you know, his father had died and his mom had to take over and the whole farm and do everything herself. But still, I'm not trying to make a lot of sense out of this because let's face it, man, this shit was actually one of the worst watches I've had in a long time. I remember I was actually joking about, us needing more films that were in the Hall of Pain. And I'm like, we need to do more big franchise shows, get some Hall of Painters. Well, Jesus. So, JP, what did you think about? You stepped out there for a little bit, so you missed a little bit, but
pretty much about the same as you guys. I mean, at first I was like, this might be promising because it was like an actual Western. So I was like, okay, this is like the most Western out of the movies, probably. And then I was like, got about 40 minutes in, and I'm like, God damn, nothing's happening. And then I was like, I'm hitting it with the 1.5, and I'll stop it if stuff starts happening. But pretty much nothing happened. And then, I mean, there was the scene where, I mean, the most like, I guess, proactive scene, it might be like the sex scene or the grape scene.
Oh my God, it was bad.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to say about it. It's just, it's literally a movie where there's like a love triangle between two brothers that is like totally not even interesting in the slightest. There's a couple scenes of them talking about, like, I think they mentioned, like, doesn't the werewolf dude mention like epilepsy and shit like that?
Yeah, I mentioned that while you were gone. I think like that he talks about how certain people have like epilepsy and have other type of sicknesses and stuff, and he has moon sickness. That's what he calls it. He goes on to later say that he was bewitched by the moon, which makes me think that he actually wasn't a werewolf. It was kind of in his head, and probably related. Like the metaphor is probably related to the trauma of his childhood of losing his father and his mother having to like overwork, and I think she essentially what they're kind of getting at is that her mother overworked herself to death too, and really abandoned the boys too because she had to do the whole farm thing herself. And I think that's what the movie's trying to say, but it just doesn't do it well. Like, I think that's what it is. Like, the more I think about it, right? And it kind of relates to like how it ends and like, the way it starts and stuff like that too. But I still can't make sense of the scene where in the prologue, where if you guys remember, the person that grabs the boy, which is probably our lead character here, is actually the actor that plays the lead in the film. So I'm like, I don't even understand what the fuck's going on, but who knows? I mean, it could just be a dream sequence, but I will say, like, this movie opens up with the most annoying shit ever. It's like a 10-minute opera scene, and you guys know how I feel about opera. I can't handle it. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, just stop. But that's one thing about this movie that I really noticed was the extended scenes of like nothing. Silence and nothing. No dialogue, nothing going on.
This movie's nowhere near enough or interesting enough to pull that off.
Right. Like, how do you do a dinner scene for 10 minutes panning around the table, just focusing on people's facial expressions and grotesque eating? I'm just like, fuck, this is not like, if it was a comedy,
but like, this director is nowhere near in the league of being able to.
But you need some other substance to build up to a moment like that.
You need, like, to do things like that. You need to have like impeccable like sound design, cinematography, like.
But even substance within the narrative to have these moments and stuff like that, it's like it just turned into everybody being insanely awkward and like almost becoming mute. Like, what? Why? Like, I get it was awkward because it turned into like a love triangle. I felt
like he was by doing that, they're trying to like give you this atmospheric, like quiet somberness, but the movie's just not good enough for you to care. So
but then fill it in with like, the sound of like forks and knives hitting the plate every 2 seconds. Like, it takes away from it too. It takes away from what you're trying to accomplish with a really bad sound design.
Get rid of whoever made this just isn't good at making movies. This is what it is. It's not great acting in this movie. It's not a good script.
It's why
it's not really made too well.
It's why IMDb lacks on showing his credits for directing. It's just all his writing credits. But it's kind of funny because he wrote Death Becomes Her, which ironically is a pretty fucking funny comedy from '92, like horror comedy kind of thing.
Wrote a bunch of things and he threw some things out somewhere and he found someone that wanted to make a movie with them, and this was his shot.
Yeah, this script could have been 10 years old. This could have been 10 years old, right? Fuck. Holy crap, dude. I actually laughed out loud when he was just like, Jenny. And I'm like, Forrest. This reminded me of Forrest Gump, man. Ridiculous. This is honestly one of the worst watches. Like this, I can't imagine anything, even on my list of films for 92, which is quite a bit, something being worse than this. Like, I just don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the worst made movie in the world. It's just, you know, I mean, there's probably worse shot on video films, but as a whole, like this movie just lacks on everything. It's super, super bland. Super bland. Like, fuck me, man. 98 minutes. Oh, the shit that we do in our preps, man. Oh. I mean, I got nothing else, man. I've exhausted myself already on this one.
Yeah, me too.
All right, sucks. JP, what do you give this one?
Solid 1 out of 10.
Solid 1.
What?
Yeah, I was giving this one a 2 out of 10.
I also give it a 2.
So that is, wow, that's a 5 out of 10. That is an official Hall of Painter.
5 out of 30.
Yeah,
5 out of 30. That's what I meant. Yeah. Damn, dude. Wow, that was really bad.
Yeah, I was just looking at other movies that I like more than it that I rated really low. And like, I would rather watch many of them than I rated.
Yeah, well, at least some of those movies are like fun and like, you know,
like
they're bad, but in a fun
from
way.
the Quaded Zone. I would probably rather watch Savage Vengeance than this.
Oh, speaking of, that's funny how that movie has one of the worst rape scenes in it also. It's a fully closed scene. It's like a dry hump. All right. Anyways, that is Mad at the Moon from 1992. All right, so getting into the third and final feature here on episode 286. We are going to stay in 1992, and we're going to talk about a film called Dust Devil, directed by Richard Stanley, the one and only Richard Stanley. Fuck it. I love Richard Stanley, man. He's such a weird, eccentric fucker, man. But, you know, it's too bad it's just such a shame he didn't have more of didn't make more full-length films, you know, because he had done...
I think he's canceled now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I don't pay attention to that cancel culture bullshit. But yeah, so this is a second feature film. He'd done Hardware in 1990. And then, of course, the infamous Island of Dr. Moreau, where, you know, he was, you know, directing that film and then eventually got fired and then made his way back onto the set and was like an extra in the scenes. Oh, it's fucking, the story of the Island of Dr. Moreau is insane. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I know. Dust Devil, man, finally getting a 4K release, which is phenomenal. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for that now.
Yeah,
Who's putting that out?
Kino.
Yeah, it's Kino. About fucking time.
You guys remember Fuller from Home Alone?
Yes.
He just won an Oscar.
Really?
Yep. Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin won an Oscar?
Yep.
Good
what
for
was
him.
he in?
He's a good actor, man.
Real Pain, best supporting actor.
I like Kieran Culkin, man. He's done some good stuff.
Well, he's got a golden statue now.
Anyways, thanks for the updates, Jeremy. All right, quick little synopsis. A woman on the run from her abusive husband encounters a mysterious hitchhiker. So have you guys ever seen Dust Devil before? Or at least...
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so have you seen, you know, the director's cut, like the actual...
I do not believe I did. I had a version in like a multi-pack back in the day.
that's the really heavily cut Weinstein Brothers version that cuts out like 20 minutes. In fact, Richard Stanley's actually even said he's never even seen that cut of the movie before because obviously he didn't approve it. It's fucking wild too, because I was telling Tyler off the head of the show, like that version of the film cuts out like all the supernatural elements and stuff. Like it's so weird. It must not even be a movie then. Like it's fucking strange to cut all that shit out of there. Like it's just makes no sense to me. But yeah, I always tell people if you're going to watch Dust Devil, you got to watch the final cut. Like it's Richard Stanley's cut that, you know, that he wanted you to see. So, Tyler, so you never seen this one before. What are your thoughts on Dust Devil?
This one really surprised me, actually. I didn't really know what to expect, but I definitely didn't expect something like this. This is. Are
you familiar with Richard Stanley though? Like as a director?
Not like intimately. I've seen some of his movies, but I'm not like a big Stanley fan. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen Hardware. That's the other movie, right?
Yeah.
I've seen Color Out of Space.
Yeah, I've
seen one more.
Like I said, The Island of Dr. Moreau, that he started on that film and stuff, which the story behind that movie is fucking wild. It's really insane. But yeah. But no, he's done some other like documentaries and other pretty interestingly odd stuff. He's a really unique filmmaker, really. But
yeah, I really didn't expect this movie to be kind of this ambiguous, I don't know what's the right word to put, almost like mysticism piece of just the way it was presented, and like you had like all these big open shots and like these slow moving cameras, and just like the way it wove and had the narration. It kind of reminded me a lot of Picnic at Hanging Rock. It gave you like those same type of like ambient vibes, which is something I'm a big fan of. I really like the color grading in this movie too. It had like that brightish like orange tint to it, which I thought really brought out the setting. The setting's great. They had a lot of great big open like deep shots within the cinematography, and I thought they did a really bang up job using that. This movie, there is some elements that maybe are like a little messy to this, but I like this a lot. This really surprised me. I was expecting something a little bit more like in lines of like your typical horror movie, but this was really interesting.
Yeah, it's different. It's different, right? Because you don't really know precisely, obviously by the title being Dust Devil, you're thinking that, you know, our main character, played by Robert John Burke, who does a fantastic job as a Dust Devil in this. Actually, he plays these characters quite often, actually. He's got an actually really interesting history too. He actually helped out with like the 9/11 stuff, and eventually became a New York firefighter after that. And to this day, he still is one. He acts, obviously, but he is a certified New York firefighter. I think that's a pretty interesting story. But the setting in this film is fantastic, man. It's shot in Namibia in Africa, right? So you got that beautiful land or beautiful sand landscapes and those beautiful like mountain shots and stuff.
Was really good and like really fed it. Really gave it this good. The
soundtrack is done by Simon Boswell, who of course is like honestly one of my favorite composers, man. I mean, this guy has done so much amazing stuff. Of course, he did Phenomena, he did Demons. Actually, like his filmography up until Phenomena, Demons 2, Stage Fright, Delirium, you know, he did like all his films and stuff like that. Sante Sangre, Hardware, you know, he's coming off the other Stanley film. So but the score is like super thumping and super like, it almost sounds like it's dark. You know, it's very like it works perfectly with our mysterious kind of like devil creature in a sense.
Yeah, and even the title Dust Devil, it's very metaphorical to like this intense like sandstorm that like comes and leaves and takes whatever's in its path. I like how they really were able to personify it with like this trapped wandering entity. And I like how they don't just like it's very ambiguous what he actually is, and then you get the storyline from like the sheriff's character, which I
just take it that he's a demon that is trapped in our world. They don't ever explain why
they kind of do. Well, they kind of do.
They explain how he needs to get back to the other side of the mirror, but they don't explain really why he's actually trapped on this side of why he needs to finish off his ritual. Like he's on this side, and the reason why he's doing his killings and stuff, because these killings give him power. And once he finishes his ritual, which, you know, he has to do so many ritual killings and stuff, it'll actually send him back through the mirror, which is the other side to his world or kind of thing. It never explains why he's actually trapped in this world. Maybe he was born into this world. I think that's know.
Part of it too that they don't want to explain that. What's really cool because this movie it ended up being a little bit more of a think piece than I like really anticipated. And I think it's a movie I can see myself definitely going up on rewatches or at least just like sitting away from this movie for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I liked a lot, really with all the characters, how I liked the themes on identity and like wandering and loneliness. I think it really like communicated very well in its cinematic language, just the way it was shot and the way they presented the music. I really enjoyed that stuff. There's a straight homage to an Ingmar Bergman film in this movie too, and that made me fucking laugh so hard.
What is it? Because I was curious about that.
Okay, so in the movie Persona, actually, if you see right behind me, this image right there,
I've actually never seen it
before. There's a part in that movie where he has the hand out like that, and it's like a crumbling reel of film, the same way like the character puts his hand out and like crumbles the reel of film in the movie towards the end, and I just like laugh so hard. Like that's a Persona homage.
Does that really surprise you though? I mean,
yeah, it did. Well, just because
that's a director that a lot of like filmmakers are, inspired.
Yeah, and Richard Stanley's also he's a fan, and he's also it
just wasn't something I was expecting to see. I thought that was awesome.
It kind of gives you a different perspective of like when you watch films like that, when you don't have the expectations. Where I've seen this film multiple times, but it's kind of cool to hear your thoughts on it for watching it for the first time because you didn't know what you're getting yourself into, right? Maybe not familiar with it
about this movie, and like when you read the description of it, all it just says is really like a woman picks up a wandering drifter. So immediately my mind goes to this is going to be something closer to like The Hitcher, and it's obviously not that at all.
Yeah, but The Hitcher's like it's almost more sadistic, it's more sporadic, and it's more. What's the word? I mean, there's a focus here with Dust Devil, like he's this creature trapped in our world who needs to finish his ritual by doing these ritual killings and stuff like that, but he only focuses on the broken, and that's a really interesting element to the film. His killings aren't random. He's not just killing anybody out there. He's focusing on these people that are running away, that they've lost their faith, their broken humanities and stuff like that. I really like that angle, and it plays into the ambiguity of it too, because if he is a devil, what does it fucking matter? Why would he not be doing his killings at random or just anybody to finish off his ritual, right? So again, it gets you kind of thinking as to why this person will only focus on those type of people. Really interesting. I really think that the shaman character in this film is really cool. He's actually the guy that narrates the movie, right? If you notice, it is.
Yeah,
it is. It's his voice that you hear because he's the guy that kind of explains what the Dust Devil is and kind of gives you a little bit of insight to what you're actually witnessing. And it's kind of cool because like you get the voice in the beginning of the film and bits and parts throughout the film. But there is a scene where they actually go and show him at that ritual site and stuff, and he's explaining it, and you're like, oh shit, that's actually the voice. That's the dude. I think that's actually kind of fucking cool because you don't see that very often. Like if you have a voiceover, it's usually just a voice. You don't actually get a physicality to it too.
I thought they were really able to bring a lot of cool textures out in his character too. I like how he was this person that was like driven by grief and like obsessed and like going deeper and deeper into this. Like he was chasing after something that like he didn't eat, that he's like he has this like long chase like for like there was just like looking to like satisfy himself with like some sort of vengeance or revenge, and it felt a lot like the classic trope or play on the Moby Dick story. Like he was like the Dust Devil was like white whale he was chasing, and I thought like when they really started to incorporate him towards the end, and he goes after him and chains the guy to like the truck, like that's what that felt like to me, and I liked that
makes sense.
Yeah, that does actually. The casting's great in this film, man. Like the guy that plays the detective in the film or the cop.
Yeah, I like seeing him when he pops up and stuff. That's the guy from Serpent in the Rainbow, right?
Yeah, Zake Smokey.
Yeah, that's what I instantly recognized him from.
Yeah, Zake Smokey, man. It's perfect, man, because I'm assuming he's probably from Africa, right? Hence the accent and stuff like that. But perfectly casted. Chelsea Field, she's beautiful in the role. fits the mold for the film.
Yeah, she has that like mature, like exotic look to her that works for.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny because she does kind of look like somebody that would represent somebody from like Eastern Europe or whatever. She's actually from California. It's fucking random. But no, cast it perfectly. I think like again, cinematography is beautiful. One of my favorite scenes in the film is when they drive up to the top of the mountain and she just wants to overlook into the canyon and stuff like that. And there's this really insightful scene where she doesn't really want to hear anything about like what made this and stuff. Like she just wants to witness the beauty of like the canyon and stuff like that. And he kind of goes
good.
Well, he starts to tell her that like how this was created and stuff like that. And it kind of gives you a little bit more insight to where he is, what he knows and where he's possibly from. Like he's talking about like ancient shit. Like we're talking creation stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a little bit, it keeps it very ambiguous because you can only speculate on exactly what he really is, but he knows this for a fact. Like he's talking in factual references, right? I think that's a really cool moment, but that scene it's so beautifully shot. And again, me being scared of heights, as soon as they pull up to there and she goes up to the ledge and he's standing behind her, like all you're thinking is the worst. Like he's just going to run up and push her off the cliff. I'm getting butterflies. And like when movies do that to me, man, I'm just like so invested in it. So
Stop
fucking
being
awesome.
A puss.
Dude, it's just heights, man. It's just fucking heights. But that's a cool feeling when I'm watching a film like that on an 80-inch and you're just like, oh my God, dude, it's killing my stomach right now. I think it's fantastic. I'm not ashamed to wear my fucking, my fears on my sleeve, man. I don't care. People want to laugh at me, whatever. You're the pussy for calling me a pussy, you fucking asshole.
Why?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just being honest. honest.
Everybody's afraid of heights.
Not dude, my wife Erin is not. She goes up on the fucking roof and like, dude, it just scares the shit out of me, man. I can't go up on my roof, man. Can't do it. She's just like, no fucking fear. Like they go skiing. Like one of the biggest things I hated about skiing growing up was taking the chairlifts. It would scare the shit out of me. I never wanted to go because I didn't want to go up on the chairlift, man. So, but yeah.
I like the scene right at the beginning where after he like burns the motel, I think it's a motel or something.
Yeah, motel.
And he walks outside and he stands in front of like the skull deer or whatever the hell it was, and the two horns are like behind his head. Mm-hmm. That's some cool imagery and stuff. This movie for me, I don't like it as much as you guys, I think, and it's not just this movie. I have not liked anything that I've seen from him overly much. Like I think they're all decent. I've seen this, Monroe, which I guess is like a mess, Hardware, and Color Out of Space, and none of them I really like care for that much.
I like the Color Out of Space version that he did, man. Nick Cage going off the fucking deep end is pretty fun.
It was cool. Like visually, but
we've seen the story so many times. Like we've seen so many adaptations of that story. It's just like, what are we getting now? But it's kind of interesting because Nick Cage is in it, and my fandom for him is real. Yeah. I love that dude.
But yeah, this movie, I think that like visually, it's a treat. Like there are a lot of great.
So okay, going back on this though, because you were a little bit afraid of it being not being a Western. You're like, I don't even think it's like. What would you say about it now?
I think it fits. Yeah,
it's a modern Western.
Yeah, it's not like Western in terms of like the Old West. It doesn't have the tropes. They're not like going into bars and fucking having fun. Like it's not like shoot them up with horses and stuff. It's still a Western theme though. Right. Yeah. It has the like heart of a Western, which I did read Stanley said that he kind of looked at this like a giallo mixed with like a spaghetti Western.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of interesting you mentioned that because there's this really great scene in the film where they talk about how they're doing the double feature at the drive-in with the bird with the crystal plumage and the 7 golden vampires. Yeah. You guys remember that scene? I was like, oh, that's fucking sweet. But that's Stanley. But that's Richard Stanley and his fandom, and like he's a fan just like we are. He likes cinema. So the fact that he actually threw the giallo thing in there is actually pretty cool. Nice.
But yeah, I think that like the actual like Dust Devil character is pretty cool. But I kind of almost wanted more out of it. Like
my biggest
the
complaint
time
too.
that we spend with him and like the lead female just isn't that interesting to me, other than like that scene you mentioned. Also the scene where they're driving down the road and they see another Dust Devil. That scene's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause
Yeah,
it makes you sort of like think
Yeah.
like, oh wow, like there's a few wanderers out there. Almost feels like sort of like Stephen Kingy in a way, with like the mysterious character. Like I was thinking Randall Flagg type guy
Yeah.
a little bit. But I think that like overall, I think that like visually, direction, like all that is great. And some of the themes that Tyler mentioned about like just how you know, the dust devil is the idea of like a almost like a dust storm that just like moves from place to place and sort of takes everything out, or like covers everything. It's pretty cool. I think that I would have liked a little bit more like horror in there, and maybe a little bit more mythology. And also honestly, like the end, I just was like, okay, so you just throw a stick on the ground. It's cool, I guess. It seemed kind of simple.
I mean, there was a pretty good head explosion.
That was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. But
I think it's also meant like, it's, you know, when you're dealing with like different worlds and stuff like that, I think it comes down to possibly being that simple, right? You can't cross this line kind of thing, right? I mean, it kind of plays into the whole mythology of what he's trying to accomplish and stuff. And like, I do agree with you. Like, my biggest complaint with this movie every time I watch it is like, I would like to see more of the ritualistic elements to it and trying to accomplish that with a little bit more gore. Yeah, there's this great scene where this woman picks him up on the highway. You go back to this hotel and they're fucking, and he snaps her neck, and then next scene, the whole fucking hotel room is just covered in blood and all this ritualistic, art all over the walls, and there's fucking
like
taking all the fingers and like
some more of that stuff in between the like part where.
But I do like, yeah, exactly, because they play into it like, part of the ritual is to take body parts and like you're kind of piecing things together quite literally, right? And like there is some nasty shit there, like the morgue scene after, like the body in there and stuff, like all the dead bodies and shit. And there's a lot of like kind of shit that's sitting right on your sleeve too. It's like the scene where they show a lot of stock footage of like bodies piling up and stuff like that. And it plays into the narrative also, I think, of what the Dust Devil is maybe trying to accomplish too. I don't know, but the one thing about this film that I really didn't care for when I first saw it years ago was, the flashback scenes, like, or I mean the nightmare, the dream sequences, like the nightmare sequences.
I thought the one was pretty cool with like the black guy creature thing.
Yeah, but like I've got an appreciation for it because it actually plays into it. It's like it's set in this like non-world, you know what I mean? Like there's other things that are happening. Like I love that scene. It's like, oh, you're dreaming. And then he wakes up and he's like, no, this is the dream. Like, and then he wakes up again and he's like, it just keeps going on and on and on. And it's like, fuck, it just kind of keeps you thinking. It's like, what reality are we in? Are we even in this reality or not? So I think it's pretty cool, man. Like how it plays into, the cop. It's fucking with his head too. But it's like, it's like the mythology is like taking over the entire. It's so hard to explain. It's really actually hard to explain when you really get deep into it. But I don't know. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. But
I also wonder if there was like more like filmed that never made the movie.
Oh, I think there was probably tons of footage. I mean, there's
it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Keith, where it's like that you have this really like ambiguous, like mysterious figure, and I almost
there is a work print on this release too that's about 10 minutes, or it's about 8 minutes longer. So there's other footage. I can't remember. I've watched it before. I can't remember what's different, but there is definitely more stuff. Who knows what it is? But I'd have to look into that. But yeah. No, I would definitely like more of the ritual stuff for sure. Yeah.
How long was this movie?
The final cut's 108 minutes.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
apparently
108, that's what I
Stanley's original cut was 120 minutes.
Yeah.
Which down to watch that.
Which is interesting because, like I said, the word print's on this release too, and it's 115. So yeah, there's probably extra footage for sure. Yeah.
Definitely excited for that 4K now, though.
So it says that a lot of the cuts were taken out of the beginning parts of the movie and left the audience clearly confused, according to Stanley.
A lot of the what?
Cuts were from the beginning of the film, the first act.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
The Dust Devil more of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of a background or explain what it is.
Yeah, it you know, there's definitely a lot of like nihilism in the film too. Like our main character Wendy is like, you know, there's this great scene where they're talking about like, you know, death and shit like that, and she's like, "Fuck." She's like, "When you die, you die. That's it. That's it." But like she's talking to an entity basically, right? And he knows differently. I think it's a really interesting conversation. It's a little deeper than, you know, just face value and stuff. But she's just so nihilistic, just so set in a way. She's like, it is what it is. But it also plays into the whole fact that she is running from like an abusive fucking husband, which by the way, that scene where he fucking rolls out and he's wearing that tracksuit is like the most 90s shit I've ever seen in my life. That thing is so gangster, man. It's fucking awesome, man. I probably could have done with that, you know, without that angle, but it does work for her character to have her being chased down by this abusive, you know, husband or boyfriend, whatever he is, and stuff like that. But I mean, they don't Stanley doesn't spend a whole lot of time with it. There is scenes where he does, but I don't think it's overpowering within, you know, the subplot in the film. So, yeah, it's honestly just a little bit too bad that there isn't more of the ritual killings and stuff. That would have been fucking awesome in this. So, probably my biggest complaint.
Yeah, it's definitely not a perfect film. I think maybe it is a little bit much. There's a little bit too much in big. I don't want to say that, but I can see where some of like the characters and motivations are stretched a little thin, where you are kind of in the dark, and if you're not someone like me who's just gonna like enjoy like soaking in this atmosphere, it might be a bit of a tougher watch.
Yeah. I think you can pull something new from it every single time though, just based on the mythology.
I think, this movie is definitely going to be competitive with some of the other stuff I've watched, and I expect to see this again on the playoff run. So I'm looking forward to how a second viewing of this goes.
I mean, you can't get any more Western than having a scene where, you know, your main character is playing a harmonica. I can never say that word properly, but yeah, there's actually a scene where he's playing a harmonica. So I'm like, well, that's pretty fucking Western right there. If you're not going to call us a Western, just check out that scene alone. Yeah. So, but you know, pretty interesting premise. Like you said, you know, it's not perfect, but I think it does pretty well for what it is. I mean, for a film that, you know, runs 108 minutes on the, you know, the final cut, I feel like there's always something going on, whether it's going to be some nightmare dream sequence with the cop or whatever. There's lots of cool shit, man. I like movies like this, though. I'm a very visual person. I like atmospheric films, and, you know, narrative always does help, but, you know, it's got good shit, though. It's got good shit. I like the narration. It helps.
Yeah, I like the touch it has.
All right. You guys have anything else?
No.
I do feel like he's, you know, obviously he's weaker in the human form, because like when she fucking hits him with that radio clock or whatever, she fucking knocks the shit out of him, man. She literally beats the shit out of him in that scene. It's pretty funny, actually. I was kind of thinking about that. I'm like, man, she fucked him right up. But yeah, so I guess if we're gonna do ratings, I guess that's me that starts off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am coming in at an 8 on this one.
Alrighty.
Tyler.
I'm going to be at a strong 7.5 on this one.
Right.
And I am at a 7.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. All right. Well, that is Dust Devil from 1992. And also going to conclude episode 286, Western Horror Volume Dukes. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, burping motherfucker. Yeah, so that was quite a mixed bag of a show.
Yeah. 3 very different movies.
Yeah. Like I said, it has been forever since we've had a Hall of Painter, but man, did we ever have one.
Right.
That was something fucking else, man.
I feel like, when was our last Hall of Painter?
I can't even remember.
Dude, it has been forever. Like, I was actually trying to think of that too when I was watching.
Have you been on one where we have one?
Yeah, because there was one that I gave him wicked low in the movie and made the Hall of Pain.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember, man.
Oh, maybe it was Tombs of the Blind Dead or something. Was one of those bad?
Oh, was it that like that pseudo sequel or like remake or whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah, where the blind dead could see.
Did we go? I don't think that made the Hall of Pain though, did it?
I gave it. You guys gave it like 3s and 4s, and I would, or like something like that, and I was just like, "Nah, this is like a 1.5."
I can't remember.
I think I came in really low, and then we Black Pit of Death too, or not Black Pit of Death. The one with the spider. We did an Italian horror.
Yeah.
Bloody Pit of Horror. That's what it was called. I think that one might have made it, and it was.
Yeah, I gave that one a pretty
crazy low.
Yeah, that movie is fucking terrible.
I just remember like the part with the spider, and I'm just like sitting there at the screen, like, is this really happening right now?
Shit.
Anyway, I think next week we're gonna do a OG versus remake. Been a little while since we've done one of those, I think.
Yeah, so it's gonna be Let the Right One In.
Let the Right One In versus Let Me In.
Yep.
And Let Me In, yep. Yeah, and then after that, we're gonna follow that up with another franchise show, which I'm looking forward to.
Maybe.
Okay,
because we have the March Madness thing.
Oh fuck! Oh yeah, I guess we have to fit that in there somewhere.
Yeah, I figured out exactly what we're gonna do.
Shit. Yeah, so maybe that might. Okay. Yeah, so we don't really know, but anyways, there's that franchise is coming up, and we got Ozploitation Volume 2. So yeah, there's some episodes in the works.
I think we have Critters at the beginning of April as well.
Is that when Chris is signed on for?
I believe so, because I think we planned it because Easter, and Critters 2 takes place on Easter.
Right.
Ooh.
Interesting. That's actually pretty smart because I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for.
That is not bad. All right. Well, I feel like that episode was really short.
Yeah, that was definitely a shorter one, which I'm okay with because I still got to run to town.
Into town,
yeah. Speaking of Westerns, right? Living up way in the fucking boondocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
well, I guess that's everything, man. So that's going to conclude episode 286. Check you guys next week with Let the Right One In, OG versus remake. As usual, deuces.
Peace.
That's all, folks.